All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we should be live right now. I'm going to refresh real quick. Obviously, we know last time we unfortunately encountered some issues with that. Yeah, we're totally live. We are up. How's everybody doing? Can you all hear me? Is everyone able to hear me in chat there? We usually don't do these live streams. It's very exciting to do this. It's very exciting to be here. It's insanely exciting that we... Oh no, there's a bad echo going on. Let me try turning my volume down real quick to see if we can figure that out. Is that echo still going on right now? Because I think I had a different tab open that an echo might have been coming through. Let's see if we can get... Oh no. Alright, so there's a bad echo. That's no good. Let me, we're gonna see if we can... How bad is the echo? Like, are you guys unable to hear me? Oh, echo's gone. Yeah, echo's gone. Okay, perfect. Perfect. The echo is now distant. Let's go even lower. What about now? Can you guys hear any echo at this point in time, or are we good? Audio from very far away. I hear you. Sounds like a second mic. Okay. Well, we're gonna see if we're able to figure this out. Let me just jump into OBS real quick and make sure that we don't have an extra microphone focused on me or something. So a lot of people are saying there's a little bit of an echo, but that it's not very bad. Okay, some people are saying it's bad. All right. Well, I apologize for this. We're gonna have tech support in here in 3 seconds. Hopefully, you guys are still able to hear me and we're still able to chat through this because we're gonna get the echo fixed in 3 seconds here. But, okay, people are saying everyone's overreacting. So, regardless of whether they're overreacting, we're still going to get the echo fixed in about a second here. But I just wanted to thank everybody so much for supporting this. I want to thank everybody so much for getting us to the point that we've reached with over $500,000 raised for this show. It's actually unbelievable that we were able to do this. Someone in chat says, Seamus broke Tim's equipment. What's happening is the NWO is clearly sabotaging us right now. But again, the good news is we're having that fixed right now at this very, very second. Do you think it's the wrong mic?
I think it's the speakers.
Oh, you think it's the speakers? But why would it be coming in through the speakers if I'm just talking in the mic?
Because it's the speakers are pointed this way, towards the mic gate. So when Tim's sometimes doing there's Zoom calls, there's a little bit of echo because there's not any noise cancellation on their end.
So if I mute the Zoom, will that fix it?
Where's the? What happened when it started to echo?
Everyone in chat just said it's super echoey as soon as I started broadcasting.
Yeah, they're saying Discord notification, so I think that's the speakers because I'm hearing it through there.
Yeah. Well, we can. I think the Discord notifications are less of an issue than the echoing is.
Hang on 1 second.
Sorry about this. Well, listen, is it also possible we have audio coming through the camera as well? And that's why? Alright. Well, I was told by, I've been told and I've been texted by some people who also said the echo is there, that we do need to fix it, but it's not making it possible for you guys to listen. So we are going to keep powering through this, and I have full faith the echo is going to be fixed pretty soon here. I think that the...
Let me pop out and listen to it real
Awesome, yeah,
Sorry.
I think that the audio is a lot better, and regardless, it'll be fixed in a couple minutes here. So again, I want to thank all of you guys for contributing, for supporting. This is absolutely huge. I want to thank Tim for allowing me the use of his studio in order to be able to produce this. To produce this live stream, but also for him allowing me use of his studio and his podcast in order to continually promote this show. So throughout the course of the stream, what we're going to do is we still have the Twisted Plots page open. As you guys can see, the live stream, the donations or the portal doesn't close. The Give Send Go doesn't close until late tonight. We're still leaving it open because the deadline was still going to be the deadline regardless of whether or not we were able to get fully funded. And so if you guys still want to support, get access to the perks, you can go over there. But the initial plan was for this to be a fundraising stream. At this point, it's more of a celebration stream because it's actually incredible that we were able to reach this level. I'm insanely blessed by my audience. And what you guys have done here by getting us past the finish line is you have shown the entertainment establishment and even the political establishment that people are tired of the garbage, mass-produced media slop that chips away at our culture instead of building it up, and that you want your entertainment to be grassroots, and you want your entertainment to have a good, solid, right-wing message. I was told the audio is dead now in chat. By the way, we are using Tim's studio right now. So this is my first time doing this. We did a different setup in OBS. Anything that's going wrong here is my bad. Tim's people are working very, very hard on this. Okay. We're gonna be back in 3 seconds. Echo is back. Okay, so do you guys still hear this echo? Some people are saying, don't let big echo keep you down. Sorry about this, guys. This is, here's the thing. I'm gonna mention in chat real quick. I'm not hearing anyone complain about the echo, but it's like also possible that the audio is just down right now. Goodness gracious, I apologize, everybody. It's worse. Okay, the echo's worse. I think we're very close to having this solved. My apologies, guys. We're almost there. Let me go back to the channel, and we are gonna. Oh, I'm glad you guys think this is funny. Audio is there, but quiet. Good. They're saying it doesn't sound like the mic is on, but something else is picking me up.
Yeah, can you speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Are we better now? Is this has this solved the problem? Wrong mic, you're quiet, low audio. Sorry about this, guys. We have this all set up and working, but I guess with the actual stream itself, audio issues came up, which is unfortunate. We're gonna have this fixed in a couple minutes here.
Sorry about this, folks. Sorry about this, Andrew.
It's just hard to, because I can't hear it coming to the next one, so I have to go.
No, I get it.
Back and forth between the stream.
Do I just mime at this point? Do I just do mime stuff?
Wait a second.
Yeah. What about now? Is that better? Because the thing is, in OBS, it shows everything is normal. It shows everything else as normal. People are saying it sounds like the mic is good now, but the camera mic is on, and that's causing the echo or something. Good, perfect. Oh my gosh, are people saying it's perfect? It's better. No audio now. Good, perfect. And then some of you trolls are out here saying, "Oh, there's no audio still." All right. Here's the thing. I want everybody to give a huge round of applause to Andrew. Put W Andrew in chat, because That was extremely he has a very busy day, and he already helped me set up. And it was extremely stressful for him to have to run up in here and save my butt in the middle of the audio not working. So thank you, bro. If you want to come on camera and say hi, you can. If you're not comfortable with that, you can run away. W for Andrew, guys. Let's get W's in the chat for Andrew. My man, thank you. Yeah, of course. I will definitely let you know. Okay. By the way, I just want you to all appreciate how insanely stressful that is when you are in that situation, when you are Andrew and you have to run up and fix audio for someone who you are doing this for as a favor, and it's super important for the audio to work, and you're trying to like rush to figure out a solution. That is really, really, really intense. This is one thing, especially if you're already in front of a live audience, a large live audience. That is super freaky. It's super scary to be in that position. So that man sailed through that beautifully. God bless him. He's the man. All right, so what we're probably going to have to do, if possible, is we may have to trim out the first couple minutes of this on YouTube Studio. And if that is the case, I just still need to mention that Andrew is the hero of this stream for getting our audio working because we were having a bunch of issues with it. But now here we are live. The plan is to go till roughly 6 o'clock, unless you guys get really sick of me and in chat you start blowing me up going, get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. We're done with him. We're through with him. We're sick of him. If that happens, you got it. I'm signing out. But until then, we are going to continue to talk and hang out. So one thing I got to do real quick here over in OBS is I'm gonna add a little flyer up on screen. I'm gonna add a little flyer up. I'm gonna get the sneak peek set up for you guys to watch them. But let me reiterate what I was saying earlier, but without quite so much echo. What we have done here is incredible. By getting Twisted Plots fully funded, we have sent the message to the entertainment establishment that people want right-wing content that promotes positive moral values and builds the culture up instead of chipping away at our civilization through anti-human propaganda, which is what they have been doing for decades. We have also sent a message to the conservative establishment, which is that people want independent content. They want to see independent supporters, independent work supported. We've also sent a very clear message to all the people who say conservatives do not support art on their side, and that's why we're going to lose. Guess what? Conservatives do support art. I am living proof of that. The fact that we were able to get this funded is a massive victory on all three fronts. We can sit here and we can talk about ideas, but I mentioned people learn through stories. I've said this dozens of times, probably hundreds of times through the course of the crowdfunding campaign for the show, and it's true. And the most powerful stories are the ones that we see play out in front of us in real life. And what everybody who was paying attention to this, and there are many who are paying attention to this, just saw was the audience of an independent right-wing content creator come out and fund a project that is going to create good, solid entertainment that will move the dial in the culture war and that will be created independently without interference from big studios, either on the right or on the left. So thank you all. This is an accomplishment that does not just belong to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to my team. It belongs to everyone who prayed for this campaign. It belongs to God. It belongs to Christ. It belongs to all the saints who we prayed to, St. Mother Teresa, St. Joseph, St. Jude. It belongs to all of the wonderful people who supported us in all of the incredible ways that we have been supported. And to be frank, this is a watershed moment. It really and truly is. We're going to make an incredible show, and it is going to move the dial in the culture war, and it is going to continue to promote the idea that people want this stuff. They want this. It's huge. So you will notice here over in the bottom corner, I'm going to refresh this every now and again because it doesn't automatically refresh because it's not really built for this. But we have this set up so that people who are sending money in on GiveSendGo by going to twistedplots.com, they'll be able to have what they're saying read on stream. We're not going to be able to read all of it, unfortunately, because I'm going to be talking to you guys. I'm going to be talking to different exciting guests who are going to come on. But I'm going to refresh this periodically. The reason I'm pointing this out is because Everything that you see that pops up right here in this corner, these are all contributions from GiveSendGo.com. Obviously, you guys are free to send super chats if you want. Those are obviously appreciated, but the super chats don't go to the campaign. YouTube ends up taking a cut, right? And so the money, if you still want to send directly to the campaign and you want to get perks, Give, Send, Go. You got to go to our Give, Send, Go. You just got to go to twistedplots.com and contribute there. Again, we are 100% fully funded. We do appreciate any additional contributions that you guys make. I'm more here to celebrate this than to solicit contributions, but part of the reason I'm mentioning that is because I've been asked by a couple people over the course of the last day, will I still be able to get the perks that I wanted to get? Because some people were saying, I'm going to contribute at the very end to help play a role in the final momentum of the crowdfunding project. And so I'm going to hold on to my money until then. And now some of those people are wondering, well, now that it's fully funded, am I still able to contribute? And am I still going to be able to maybe get the thank you perk that I had my eye on? The answer is yes. We still have 8 hours, 40 minutes left. We're going to keep the campaign open until then. And if you guys want to contribute, if you want to support, or if you want to get those perks, you can go there. You can do that. So we are going to read some of what you guys are saying in chat. Firstly, Jay Whitlock sent 500 and said, hope this helps. Always loved your content, man. That's absolutely huge. God bless you. Heber Martin says, I'm ready, Seamus. Ryan A. Fox. Ryan A. Fox. I called him Ryan A. Fox. Sorry, buddy. Ryan Fox says, looking forward to seeing the show come to life. Thank you so much. And by the way, all of these donors, everyone who's contributed, they're all able to see the pilot. So hopefully you guys have seen the pilot. Hopefully you guys like it. If you want to comment and stream what you thought of the pilot, whether you enjoyed it, what you thought about it, please do so. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. We've gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback from it. And so I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy with how the pilot turned out. And a lot of the people who contributed are as well. Now, you'll notice here, I'm putting this up on screen. Over in this corner, look at that. Boom. Did that vanish? Why did that vanish? I don't want that to happen. All right, well, I guess it's just going to play once and then it's going to disappear. So I'm just going to have to keep dragging and dropping it in chat over and over again to get it to continue to loop. No, I'm kidding. That's not how that works. We are able to get it to loop indefinitely. But I'm going to keep reading some of your chats. What we are able to do is we are able to set it to loop. So yeah, there we go. Now this is looping, and I am just going to slide it into place. You'll notice this over here in the top corner. This is just something we wanted to put on screen to make sure that people know that the chats on screen here are from twistedplots.com. I wouldn't want you guys to send super chats in thinking that those are going to show up on screen here. So yeah, but we're going to get that. We're going to get that all set up. Let's pop over to super chats. Here, True, not just super chats, but what you guys are saying. It went with the Echo technology, right? Oh no, it's the Chiron. Yeah, a lot of you guys know that I'm a sly devil. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to maximize watch time on Dr. Mac by adding extra jokes into the Chiron. It gets people to continue to watch. It gets people to double our watch time by going through the video and like reading the different jokes we put there. But what you got to understand is I'm not some kind of sneaky snake over here, all right? That was not the initial point. I just did that because I thought it was funny. I thought it'd be good to sneak a lot of jokes in there. And part of the fun thing about the Chirons that we have in Dr. Mac is it's very stream of consciousness. When you're writing dialogue for characters, it has to make some level of sense why someone would say that and why someone would respond that way. But with the Chiron, we're just able to load that up with as many jokes as possible. What many don't know, but what real players know, what real alpha male culture war kitten, red pill, Freedom Tune supporters know, is that oftentimes I will write those jokes the morning of. The morning the video goes up, I'm like, I got to think of some jokes for this, and I'll scribble them out. And I actually think rushing them sometimes makes them really funny. So the scrolls are hilarious. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like those. Congrats, Seamus. Thank you. Thank you very much. PM Millard says, well, I'll send you super chats anyway. Brother, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. Thank you. I'm going to thank you. Real Sigmas know Someone says, is this Jerry Hambley's younger brother? Is that, you talking about the quartering? Because when I was on his stream, that's basically what he said. He said, people might think that this guy is my younger brother. He said that I didn't make this joke. I didn't make this joke. He made this joke. And people got mad at me for repeating it. He made the joke that he said, I look like the after picture in like a weight loss journey that he might go on. Those were his words. And then I made that joke later, and people who were not there earlier in the show were like, no, you can't make fun of him like that. Why did you come at him so aggressively? And I was like, no, I was making the same joke he made. But people were very offended. People were very offended. Man, we're getting a lot of chats. You guys are super active. This is awesome. We're getting a lot of people posting. This is crazy. This is crazy. Thank you, guys. We're going to go through all these. We have some exciting guests who I am going to bring in to the chat relatively soon here. We're going to get that set up in a second. Our first guest we'll actually see over here in a second. I'm going to create the meeting right now. This is going to be exciting. We have a very exciting first surprise guest. I think you guys are going to like them. I think you guys are going to like what they have to say. It's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. We're just working on getting that set up right now. So we are going to shoot that link over to him. Let's check out what's in chat. You need mods. Yeah, maybe I do. You know what? Let's get a mod over here. Let's get some mods over in here. Should I do it? Should we do it, chat? Should we get mods? All right, here. All right, we got a mod who's about to jump on in. How do you like that? How do you all like that? I heard your cries, and I took care of the problem. All right? Good. We're getting mobs in there. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So we're going to allow this time, and we are. All right, let me guys know if anything weird happens to my audio. All right, let me know if something weird happens to my audio. What happened? No spam and super chat. Mobs. People upset that there's mods here. Why are you guys saying no? All right, you guys got to let me know what's going on. Somebody let me know what's going on. Somebody tell me what's happening. Do the Jordan Peterson voice, please. Well, it's like, if you're not going to embody the archetypal mythos of the hero by metaphorically dying, you're never going to catch the snake, man. It's like, how do you do that? You go to twistedplots.com and you make sure that the show gets fully funded. And when you do that, it's like, man, it's incredible what you can do. Someone said, condemn them. Condemn them, bro. By the way, yeah, if you guys want to send in chat different like voices for me to do, 100% happy to do that. 100% happy to do that. I'm all about that life, as it turns out. I am happy to do whatever voices you guys like post to chat and ask for. And I pay attention to my chat because I love my viewers. Yeah. How does that make you feel? Probably special compared to the way some other shows make you feel. Probably some other shows out there that don't make you feel special, that don't tell you that you're their culture war kittens. Well, guess what? Not here. Not today. Very much appreciate my fans. What an incredible accomplishment. We also had, some amazing, insanely generous contributions from people. Kamala voice? You guys want the Kamala voice? Do a Tim Pool voice. I don't even think that's possible. Like Tim sounds too much like a normal guy. That's part of the problem. That's actually part of the problem. Part of the problem with Dave Smith. Yeah, so one of the issues is like Tim has a normal voice. This is what people will ask me to do a Joe Rogan impression. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Joe Rogan just kind of sounds normal. I can do Joe Rogan's mannerisms. He goes, the thing about it is like the way people look at things. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Like he'll speak in those up and downs and in that kind of cadence, but I can't do his actual voice. If I could get an AI to change the sound of my voice to like the same noise, I think I could do his cadence perfectly. But yeah, I can't do like a Joe Rogan voice. It's too much of a challenge. It's too challenging. Alex Jones voice? Oh my gosh. Yeah, but here's the thing about my Alex Jones voice. Here's the problem with my Alex Jones voice is it's too cliche. Like everyone does an Alex Jones voice because it's just screaming. You just go, I don't like I'm putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay. You just get gravelly and you get yelly, and that's pretty much it. Obama, you guys want an Obama voice? Here's the deal. Let me make myself clear. My fellow Americans, we need to round up all the Tim Pool fans. Got to put them in FEMA camps. We're gonna do. Ben Shapiro, bro. You guys know I can do. You know I'm gonna do a Ben Shapiro voice. You know that Alex wasn't deep enough. All right, you want me to try to get a little bit deeper? You want me to try to get a little bit deeper on that Alex Jones voice, bro? I'll get a little bit deeper on that Alex Jones. I don't like I'm putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Is that better? Okay, I can do the Kamala. Why that wasn't Obama? You didn't like that? Well, excuse me. Let me hear your Obama impression. Why don't you type that out in chats? Honestly, gang, here's the thing. Here's the actual problem with Freedom Tunes. Freedom Tunes is a horrible brand, and part of the reason that I would never advise that you watch their cartoons is because it made fun of me years ago, which is like actually sickening. It's actually disgusting, and it's like absolutely asinine. So Freedom Tunes needs to be kicked out of the movement. We need to kick them out of the country. That's how I feel. Okay, gang? It sounds like stretching Kermit. Do the crying. Make a Seamus voice. How many people are going to ask me to do the Seamus voice? I'm already doing it at all times. What if this wasn't how I sounded? What if this wasn't my actual voice, and this was like my stage performer voice? Because I didn't want the public to know how I actually sounded, because I was terrified of the brilliant Indian AI scammers who could clone my voice from the podcast appearances that I do and then send themselves iTunes gift cards by contacting my bank and telling them to invest in those and send them to their call center. So because that's what happened and because that's why I'm always doing this voice, I'm a little tempted to let you guys hear my actual voice. Should I let you guys hear my actual voice? Should I let you guys hear what I actually sound like? Should I? Only if people in chat ask me. I'll only do my actual voice if people in chat ask me, bro. Do you guys want to know how I really sound? I guess not, because no one in chat is asking. No one in chat is asking to hear what I actually sound like. But like I've said, this isn't my actual voice. This is an impression I do. This is a fake voice that I do so that I won't be copied by all the Indian scammers who call me. Yes, okay, you guys want to hear my voice? You can't make fun of it, and you can't be rude to me. You can't be rude to me because this is my voice, and I'm a little sensitive about it. You know, also, I can't do it long enough for Indian scammers. Hey, everybody! That's all. It's as far as I'm willing to go. It's so in the way that Gilbert Godfrey has a normal voice, and then his Gilbert Godfrey voice is a fake voice. I actually sound like Gilbert Godfrey, like that's my real voice, and then this is my fake voice. So it's like a reverse Gilbert Godfrey. That is actually how I normally sound, but I was like, for a stage performer, as a stage performer, I have to do a completely different voice. Someone says he's actually Irish. I guess I could do like a kind of a little Irish accent. But all the Irish accents are cliched. A lot of the way a lot of actual Irish accents sound is not what you hear in the cartoons, right? Like people who are from Ireland, people of Irish, by the way, Irish isn't even a term I know how to use anymore because people from Ireland get upset. They go, you're not really from Ireland. You can't call yourself Irish. You can't call yourself Irish. You weren't born in Ireland. I don't care that our ancestors are buried in the same graveyards and were starved in the same famines and suffered under the same oppression. You're not Irish because you weren't born here. A Somalian who comes here to collect welfare is Irish after 2 weeks, but you're not. It's like, all right, bro. Okay. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm sick and tired of it. But people of Irish, the voices that you hear in cartoons are like that, where they talk like this. And then you talk to actual Irish people, and that's not really the accent. Except for Graham Linehan. He actually does kind of have that classic sounding Irish accent. That's what I thought when I met him, when he was on Timcast. I thought that was kind of cool. It was kind of awesome. It was great meeting him, by the way. Solid, funny dude, good sense of humor. People are saying, but you don't got $1 million more? That's true. Epstein voice? Someone saying Epstein voice? You people will just post anything. What do you mean an Epstein voice? Ah, yes. My famous Epstein impression. The famous Epstein impression that we all remember from those Freedom Tunes cartoons. Yes, that the great SNL impression that what's his face used to do on SNL. Grizzlock says your Joe Rogan inflection is fine. It just needs to be a bit of a deeper vocal fry. Interesting. Not hugely different from your actually. Okay. Do you guys think I should try that? Should I try to do another Joe Rogan? Should I give it another whirl? I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I'll try. The thing is that people want to do certain things. See, I feel like it's not hitting it. I feel like it doesn't work with it. Seamus, give us the egghead voice.
Bro, you can't even do the egghead voice. Bro, you can't do... You don't even got $1 million, bro.
Do that blind guy's voice from her cartoons? You mean the guy who kind of talks like this? Or do you mean Zach? Zach's voice? Well, I don't know, dude. I feel like that's a pretty heteronormative question, honestly. It offends me. Soft voice. You guys want a little bit of a little soft voice? Do you guys want to hear my Tim Pool impression? Because what you might not actually know is that Tim also doesn't do his actual voice on air. The voice Tim is always doing on air is an impression. He does that kind of Gilbert Gottfried thing where he makes everybody think that he sounds one way so that Indian scammers won't steal his identity using AI. But he actually doesn't sound anything like that. Do you guys want me to do Tim Pool's actual voice? Do you want me to do Tim Pool's actual voice? All right. Tim's voice. He goes, hey, Seamus. How are you? How's it going? Hey, guys. Does anyone want to watch my podcast? Because that's what he... As soon as we're off air, he just sits there and he watches his podcast over and over again. He goes, hey, I'm just watching my podcast. Do you guys want to watch the podcast with me? And we're like, Tim, we were just on air for a couple hours. I don't know if we want to rewatch this. And he goes, I really would like if you did. And so we'll sometimes sit down there and start watching his podcast with him. and it'll just fast forward everyone else talking. And only go to the parts where he talks. And he goes, wow, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And he's been talking about how excited he is for AI to just be able to automatically trim everyone else's voice out so he can just watch it. So he can just watch himself. But don't tell Tim I said that. Don't tell Tim that I said that or that that's true. I feel like I could do Peter Griffin, but it's like a hackneyed Peter Griffin. It doesn't really sound like him. All right, Lois. Is Zach millennial or Gen Z? Zach's for sure millennial, but he's a millennial who hasn't aged. He's like a millennial on a floating timeline, in the same way that Homer Simpson is a boomer on a floating timeline. He doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like he talks the way someone as young as him should talk at any point. He feels more like a younger liberal from a bygone era. Because when he was written, that was actually kind of more what they were like. This is crazy. You guys thought the Peter Griffin was good? Nice. Droplets, you want Fauci? Tim does the Fauci voice. And that's actually his real voice. Not a lot of people know that, but that's literally what Tim's voice sounds like when he does the Fauci voice. He hides his voice from the public so that Indian scammers won't clone his voice from the podcast, but that's literally how Tim Pool sounds. Homer? Man, I can do a really bad Homer Simpson if you guys want to hear it. He goes, donut. That's like a Homer Simpson voice, but I feel like I can only do him for like a quick second before. You guys want Mickey Mouse? Oh, hey there, Goofy. Oh, that's crazy. Gosh, Mickey. Seamus, you are destroying me. Read the donation. Are you the one who asked me? Are you the one who asked me in the donations to say 2 specific numbers? Someone asked me to say 2 specific numbers. They said, Gunner the Man, who is the man, because they sent in $10. They said, I love your content. Also, it would be funny to see you say then they have 2 numbers together in front of the camera. Can you believe that? Do you think I should do that? You guys think I should say those numbers? You want the anti-woke dog voice. Everyone's saying, no, don't say it. It's funny because someone got Caleb on the last stream that we did. Well, people are saying it's odd. Actually, one number's odd, the other's even. 250, very generous. Fan of Freedom Tunes, hopes this helps. Hope this helps. God bless you. Any amount helps. Any amount helps. We are over the finish line. So this is all just like extra. God bless you all. I know who this is from. Someone says talk about how much you love your favorite brother. Wouldn't it be funny if I said yes? So wouldn't it be funny if I said yes and started talking about a different brother? I do love my brother very much. He's a very cool guy. I'm going to stay as generic as possible so that I'm not describing any specific brother, so that no one. My favorite gender non-specific sibling was always there for me when I was younger, and they were always a shoulder for me to cry on in tough times, and I just want to thank them. Someone says, if we raise 625K, can we get a sixth episode? For sure, yeah. I mean, if we raise enough for an additional episode, we'll do an additional episode. We absolutely would do that. Netanyahu voice. Yes. Why don't I do my famous Netanyahu impression? Why don't I do my famous Netanyahu impression for you guys? The one I'm known for. All right, our guest just entered the waiting room, so I'm gonna pull him in and let him know how it's going. We're gonna admit. All right. Hey man, you are live right now. Just letting you know. You ready for me to pull your visual up on screen?
Yeah, sure.
All right, can you guys all hear? This is our guest. We've got Oren McIntyre. I did his show during the crowdfunding campaign. He's a solid dude. We always have good conversations. Just wanted to bring him on. He was one of the people I messaged when I was putting this campaign together. I was like, would love to have this dude on to chat, to get based in Red Pilled and Red Pill to chat, or as I call them, my culture war kittens. Someone said, I hope it's Alex Jones. It's not Alex Jones. We did not have Alex Jones on stream tonight. I guess you could pretend to be.
I can scream a little more. I can try to work that in.
How you doing today, man?
Doing well. Yourself?
Really, really good. Glad to have you in. I know I mentioned like any amount of time you could do is awesome, even if it's only like 15 minutes. The people here, they love politics. They love talking about it. They love culture. So I just figured I'd try to have other people on who those things matter to and who are like insightful on what's going on in the world today, man. So thanks for joining me. One thing we'll probably just need to talk about at face value is like, I guess, the value of entertainment. I'm curious, as someone, and I know that your realm is more in podcasting, but are there like any specific trends in entertainment you've paid attention to or noticed that have bothered you at all? Or is that just not even something you like pay that much attention to, given your particular niche?
I mean, I pay as much attention to it as anybody who, is just, consuming entertainment from time to time. I guess the big trend seems to be just kind of the directionless nature of everything, right? We had the woke revolution going on, and it just tore through all of our entertainment and poisoned a lot of the things that people love. And to some extent, that's still happening, but the fervor seems to have died down. And instead of it being a woke crusade, it's more like woke has just kind of become the background radiation for a lot of our utter entertainment. And so it's in this weird place where it feels like the industries don't know what to do because they know the woke stuff isn't selling, but all the people they hired, all their creatives, even a lot of their boards, like they all kind of believe this stuff still, but they know that it's not as popular. So you have a lot of these kind of lukewarm efforts where people are trying to kind of go back to Fresh Prince, go back to the 1990s, go back to that kind of cultural detente, but they don't know how to do it anymore because they've been just writing these like wildly woke characters for so long.
No, it's so true, dude. One thing that I was actually joking about with people the other day was we'll look at certain mechanical functions in society, like things that have been digitized, but that you might need to have mechanical knowledge of, were we to get hit with a cyber attack or solar flare. And there's a lot of conversation around the fact that no one knows how to handle that stuff anymore. And the reality is like no one actually even knows how to competently handle entertainment anymore for the most part. And this is for a wide variety of reasons. First, like a large part of it is technological. There aren't people, for example, there are just not very many animators who know how to do like traditional, really solid hand-drawn 2D animation. There are also just not people who know how to tell good stories anymore. Like you said, the entertainment industry is realizing that the woke stuff has become background noise, and they don't want to push it for ideological reasons in the same way, but they basically have only hired people who truly really believe in that stuff. Like, one thing that the left has always said that's driven me crazy is they've tried to create these terms to separate themselves from the cultural phenomena that they create. And they talk about rainbow capitalism, these companies pretending to be woke to cater to a woke audience, when anyone who's paying any level of attention knows that it's the exact opposite. These companies have been trying to brainwash people with a particular perspective. And because the quote unquote revolutionaries are embarrassed that all of the channels of power are on their side, and because they want to avoid accusations of hypocrisy for being on the side of the establishment and of the system, they've tried to argue that this is just some separate greedy marketing ploy that's sprung up alongside them and has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, and you can kind of see this when it comes to like the cultural momentum that was still left in like the Cracker Barrel remake, right? Like it's funny because the old joke is that the conservative institutions are the last ones to get like kind of these progressive fever dreams run through them. So like kind of like the Southern Baptist Church is now having to fight off wokeness like 10 years after everyone else did, and is like having this exact battle at the tail end of the revolution. Same thing with Cracker Barrel. And you have this scenario where obviously this is influenced by the popular culture. It is, and the left has that. So obviously that's where it's sitting. But of course they want to blame capital for it. Well, it's not the real thing. But as you point out, like, whether it's Bud Light or Cracker Barrel or Disney, like all of these companies are continuing to churn out this woke stuff, despite the fact that it's obviously hurting their business. And so you at some point you have to ask the question, okay, what is actually driving this? Is it really the profit motive, or is it actually the ideology? And clearly the ideology is still there and damaging them, even though they don't know kind of how to get rid of it.
Well, one of the really embarrassingly stupid things about left-wing ideology, and I know it's shooting fish in a barrel to even say that. I know like a lot of dying-the-wool conservatives who are in the know at this point almost cringe when you point out the flaws with leftism because they're so obvious. And ideally, we should have moved on to the point of pushing bad right-wing ideas out of the public consciousness, basically, instead of just debunking the crazy left-wing ones that everyone already knows are stupid. But I'll still point this out. They want to talk about the issues as if people are genuinely only motivated by profit, which is obviously ironic because they're totally motivated by ideology. It's sort of the only thing that matters to them. And so when these corporations do these things, they go, well, companies in a capitalist system are only going to operate on the basis of what makes them money. It's like, that's not true, because you people operate on the basis of your ideology. But that said, if their ideology became unprofitable, it's possible a lot of them would jump ship because it doesn't cost them anything. And we've seen this recently, actually. There have been left-wing meme accounts, and particularly meme accounts for like Zorhan Mandani and other socialists and Marxists and people who want to pretend to be fringe or outside the movement or, populist outsiders, is they're trying to create these memes that have a similar aesthetic and feeling to them that a lot of right-wing memes have, and even like really far-right memes. Like, I'm talking about the stuff that actually probably does cross over into fascist territory. And they're trying to take these symbols and use them or appropriate them to create a left-wing version. And it just doesn't work because there's nothing transgressive about left-wing symbols. And for a lot of the people who do end up, making these memes that are very edgy and actually probably do cross the line with respect to like how far to the right they are, I think 99% of the time it's just being edgy and it's just embracing that the symbols are transgressive and they think it will shock people. But there's literally, there's no better evidence for how astroturfed and safe edgy progressivism and leftism are than the fact that none of their symbols carry any bite to them. Conservatives have complained for decades, no one gets upset about the hammer and sickle. Okay, but at the same time, yet no one gets upset at the hammer and sickle. It has no power. That symbol has no power.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. A spinning stoner ad will get you fired, but a spinning hammer and sickle, no one cares. Right? Like it doesn't register at all. Because the left has become so mainstream, it has dominated the conversation, it has gatekept basically everything about popular culture. And so there is absolutely nothing left to transgress. You can only tear apart what's left of the Christian culture for so long, right? That's where they got all of their cultural energy, was just tearing down the great works that Christianity had erected in the West. And now they've made fun of everything. They've mocked everything. They've denigrated everything. They've put the crucifix in urine and in feces,
Sickening,
and
yeah.
they've just everything they can. But ultimately, now what's left for them to defile, right? And that's why you can kind of feel the cultural energy and the cultural hold fade from the left. And while, as you point out, there might be some things that ultimately cross into bad places on the right, it's clear that anything revolutionary, anything edgy, anything that's going to transgress, anything that's going to create something new is inherently going to be right wing.
And eventually, by the way, it's going to get to the point where right-wing symbols, and I don't mean even just right-wing symbols in terms of the ones that I like even ones that I detest, even ones that I think are over the line and represent something bad, they are going to lose that edge and power at some point as well. We've sort of seen this happen. There have been movements on the right that were probably more milquetoast and even centrist or even like center-left because of how woke things got when people would say things like, there's only two genders. Listen, if you're like Gen Alpha or you're a young Zoomer, you might not be able to see it, but there was a time where you could actually get in trouble for saying that. Like you could actually get in trouble for saying there's only two genders, which is crazy to think about. But when people were saying that, there actually was a cost to it. And again, I cannot think, even though both sides have probably become more like extreme in certain ways, I can't think of a single moment in time when there was any left-wing opinion that wasn't allowed, with the exception that I think the only cultural victory the radical left has not had is they have not been able to fully normalize pedophilia the way that they've wanted to. And that is the only thing that the left has pushed for in the past that people still see as disgusting and disturbing. That's basically the only thing they have that like frightens people, and for good reason. It should frighten people, and if a society isn't disgusted by that and horrified by that and doesn't treat people who advocate for it in the harshest possible terms, then that society has already fallen. But we saw them creeping towards normalizing that for a while, with trying to trans kids, and with trying to, allow them to be groomed by these disgusting perverts, and with Drag Queen Story Hour, etc. So I guess, yeah, that's all to say that when it comes to the things on the left that people actually are genuinely nervous about, it basically just boils down to that. It's like on a deep level, people seem to know that, yeah, they do want to normalize pedophilia at some point.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I gained whatever prominence I had early on simply by making a meme about, tapping the sign about this, right?
Yes.
And when I originally did, everyone lost their mind. Oh, Oren, that's too far. That's hyperbole. Don't be ridiculous. Of course, that's not the purpose of the movement. And the funny thing is that over time, that meme has been about as vindicated as any meme ever in history. And now pretty much everyone can see that this was the end goal. And it has to be the end goal because, as you point out, the left has basically destroyed everything else, right? They've destroyed the family. It's all about the thruples and the polyamorous, relationships, and they've dismantled marriage. They're gay marriage, which isn't a thing, but that's
exactly.
And so you have the scenario where what really is left to dismantle in this area? You've normalized basically every other form of sex and every other form of relationship, and it's hilarious because ultimately the left is simultaneously screeching at like 22-year-old women who date 40-year-old men, but is clamoring for 30-year-old guys to start buggering 13-year-old boys.
It's disgusting.
And it's just
but
very obvious that that's the case.
Well, also they and then they want like an 18-year-old girl to be able to jump on OnlyFans and sell all of her photographs. And like, by the way, I don't disagree. Yeah, there are age gaps where people are both adults that I still find bizarre and disturbing. But the idea that it's worse than like an 18-year-old going on OnlyFans, and the idea that you're going to talk about age gaps and not just address the obvious problems that exist in the homosexual community with respect to that is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Let's stop playing around here. They'll talk about this. They'll complain about like a 27-year-old being with like a 43-year-old, and then they'll name something after Harvey Milk. They'll like name a ship after Harvey Milk, and you're like, okay, come on.
Well, to be fair, throughout history, homosexuality was pederasty, right? Like it wasn't two dudes in their 40s sharing an apartment and a couple dogs.
It was not Will and Grace.
It was not. Yeah. No. It was always an old man buggering a young guy, and you can see this throughout Greek and Roman literature. You know, they're talking about the beauty of 14-year-old
It's
boys
disgusting.
and why
Yeah.
they would take them. Just like they would take a young woman. Like, it's not as common as people think. Actually, if you read, you can find passages in Plato where he is denouncing homosexuality as a vice. But to the extent that it was accepted and existed throughout history, it was almost always, and actually it just was always, this very, very grown man with a teenage boy type of relationship, and that's all it ever was. So the attempt to try to clean up homosexuality, it's just two consenting adults. Actually, if you look throughout history, it's not at all. And if you talk to most homosexuals today, especially the men, they'll tell you they're gay because they got molested when they were a kid.
Listen, we are really red pilling all the culture war kittens in chat right now. And I agree with you. But this is one argument. I'll mention this last thing before we move on. There is this argument that has been made by revisionist scriptural scholars where they'll say, well, in scripture, when homosexuality is denounced, they're actually talking about pedophilia. And I'm like, you are so close. I'm like, you are so close to understanding. It's like, firstly, that's actually not true. The words that are used in scripture are not translated to only apply to, adult child abusive relationships. It applies to adult relationships as well. But nonetheless, you are so close to understanding the largest part of the problem here.
These are the same picture. These are the same picture.
Yeah. Well, before we jump off, I want to ask you something, because I know that you mentioned before you've made fun of people for denouncing fictional literature and saying they don't read it. Obviously, what we're doing here with creating an animated show, it's not the same as writing a novel or something like that. But I'm curious just to hear some of your perspectives and opinions on fiction before you go, since we're celebrating the fact that we got a work of fiction funded here. What kind of stuff do you like to read? What kind of literature and what kind of stories have informed your worldview?
I am somebody who has always been fascinated by science fiction. So when I was young, I was reading a lot of Heinlein. I was reading a lot of stuff like that. And then I found, of course, C.S. Lewis to be fascinating. I read all the Chronicles of Narnia as a kid, and then I read more of his fiction as an adult. A lot of people don't spend enough time reading C.S. Lewis's works for adults. Fiction like The Great Divorce or Till We Have Faces is probably one of the most amazing books I've ever read, and is sadly, I think, under-celebrated for Lewis. So that tends to be my wheelhouse. But of course, I've also enjoyed Cormac McCarthy and many others as well. So I read less fiction than I used to, sadly, because I'm so busy grinding through nonfiction books for my job at this point. But I have always enjoyed, of course, fiction novels. Yeah,
that's awesome. Those are good recommendations. I've read a bit of C.S. Lewis's nonfiction, obviously. As far as his fiction goes, I haven't. When I was a kid, I had this awesome teacher who actually read us The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe at a public school, which is sort of shocking, very based. But there was I was reading That Hideous Strength recently. I have not. I put it down for a little while, but that's grabbed me. That's a fascinating story so far. I'm not that far into it. This is so funny. So before I even said that, someone in chat said That Hideous Strength is a must read. Yeah, I've listened so far. I'm captivated by it.
Yeah, it really is the dystopian novel of our times. People will argue between 1984 and Brave New World. And Brave New World is itself, I think, an improvement and a better guess about where we ended up. But ultimately, That Hideous Strength is fantastic. First, it's part of the space trilogy, which is just great in general. But the cool thing about That Hideous Strength is it's connected, but you don't have to have read the other two books, so you can just pick it up and kind of know what's going on. You won't get all the connections if you go back and read the other two. You'll get a richer experience. But it really does point to the cowardice. The great thing is that all other dystopian fiction tends to be like big battles and Big Brother and all these things, and really That Hideous Strength is about a small town and the colleges and the way that the institutions of learning and the spiritual are corrupted in these small ways. And Lewis really predicted the way that media and the intelligentsia would be the things that ultimately corrupted our current society. So it really is a beautiful book when you get to look back at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And C.S. Lewis was fantastic. Obviously, there's here's the thing with Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, again, great for kids. I know that him and Tolkien had some disagreements over how story should be told. Obviously, I mean, I think it's, and again, this is without having read That Hideous Strength. And actually, I mea culpa, I haven't even finished reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm on the second, and I put it down for a while. So, you know, I'm not the expert here, but I just think it's hard to deny that Tolkien was the better storyteller. Maybe I will disagree once I've read That Hideous Strength, but that said, one thing I love about the way Tolkien did things is, and Lewis did things more this way, I think, with That Hideous Strength than, you know, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, for example. But telling a story in a way where you're not trying to force the message, but you're actually just letting the truth of your worldview flow out based on the narrative structure. I think that's really important. One thing that we're doing with Twisted Plots is the scripts that we have so far, I've just written them based on the way that I understand the world. And, you know, I'm trying to tell a story that I think is funny and that's true to human nature and the human experience, as opposed to going, how do we get the right-wing character to like debate and own the left-wing character? Or like, ooh, how do I make this character an allegory for Obama? How do I make this character look like they're supposed to be Joe Biden? This was one thing that drove me crazy. There was a film I saw recently. It was called Mickey 17. And dude, it starts so promising with such an intriguing premise, and we're so lacking in originality and storytelling with Hollywood that I was excited when I was watching this. I was about a half hour in, and I'm like, this story's really great so far. It's basically about a future where they're able to perfectly clone you and upload your consciousness into a new body. And there's this character who, you know, it's a really brilliant dark comedy because he's on this interstellar voyage and he basically just does all the bitch work because he can die and come back. And obviously it's not really him coming back. It's just a clone with his memories. But it's a really, really good dark comedy, and it's very original and fun to watch. And then somewhere towards the end of the first act, it turns into this Trump bad SNL skit for the next 2 hours because they have Mark Ruffalo play the captain of the spaceship who's just clearly a Trump allegory. And you're like, this had so much potential as a story. And then you tried to force your politics onto it and you made it boring.
Yeah, obviously the left has fallen into this. You know, for a very long time, the right was known for kind of, you know, it can't make art because it's too on the nose. It's trying to force things into, you know, there's an altar call and everything. It all feels like an after school special. But the left was able to kind of just write things about life. And because their life was dominated by left-wing values, it kind of emanated through the work of art. And now the left has completely lost that ability. They basically do put an altar call into everything. You know, everything is, hey, did you know Trump's bad in this way? You know, The Boys, you know, TV show or whatever. Like, they always just eventually work this kind of stuff in. And so this is why ultimately people are just turning away, I think, from a lot of mainstream entertainment in general. That's why it's getting harder and harder to put people in the seats for movies. They aren't watching TV as much. They aren't, you know, involving themselves in these mainstream entertainment, and they're moving to smaller projects. They're moving to projects like yours. They're moving to YouTube. They're looking at other platforms and other ways to express, to experience art, because ultimately all the mainstream avenues are so desperately ideologically locked in one way or another that it's just not entertaining. So I think it's critically important now more than ever for conservative artists, for right-wing artists to learn how to just write about life, like you're talking about, write about what they know and the world around them and the experiences they have, and letting the fact that they have conservative values, they have Christian values, let those things show themselves through the work rather than making that the center point of the work.
That's right. So part of why I launched this project, part of why this is so important to me is for that exact reason. And also because, as you mentioned, Hollywood is slipping. I think right now is not only the perfect time for genuinely good right-wing entertainment to break Hollywood apart, but I think it might be our last shot. And here's why I say that. Because entertainment has become increasingly democratized. And now we're going to see, depending on how the lawsuits go, granted, we're probably going to see a democratization with the creation of entertainment like never before with AI. And I'm not advocating for its use, by the way. We don't use AI. And if I do ever find myself using an AI tool, it's going to be something that, you know, speeds up production as opposed to something that does creative work. We have no plans to use AI on Twisted Plots, for example. You know, typing in a prompt, a video getting generated, I don't like that stuff. But, you know, maybe AI could do something like take care of the lip syncing for you on your video so that some of the less tedious stuff is, or more tedious stuff is taken care of. Regardless, the point I'm making is we can't say AI is going to allow anyone to make a movie, so Hollywood's going to be destroyed. Here's why we can't say that. Let's say it does become the case that anyone can make a movie sitting at their computer typing in prompts. That has been the case with the novel since typewriters became affordable. And yet, the publishing industry is still dominated by a small handful of companies that control distribution. And it's not like anyone can just write a book and have it become a smash hit success. I'm sorry, that's not the case, because the proper patronage and distribution network has not been built up for that on the other side to the degree that it needs to be. Right now, as it currently stands, publishing companies still have a great deal of control over what is going to get published, what gets put out there, what ends up on the bookshelves of major bookstores and retailers. So we can't assume that AI is going to destroy Hollywood or is going to destroy their monopoly, because regardless of whether we like it or not, they still control the channels of distribution, which is why right now, when they are at their laziest possible point, and when they aren't using whatever tools they might discover to use in the future, and as people are getting sick of them, this is the moment when we need to rise up and take over entertainment. And this could be our last shot. This actually could be our last shot. That's why we're doing this.
No, that's a great point. As someone who's been through the book publication process and looked at the different avenues, you know, you're of course right. You know, I started writing my book on Substack, which is itself a way to break through, right? But when when I got some attention, ultimately looking at, you know, where I wanted to go, self-publish, that kind of thing, it really did. Like you said, the publishers really do have avenues. They can get you into bookstores. They can make or break, you know, all these media events and everything, and whether you get reviews and all that stuff. And so it's still, even in this area of disintermediation, it still made sense to go through a traditional publisher. So you're absolutely right that you have to strike at this moment, and really you can't just assume that the old guard is going to fall apart because new technologies are disrupting it. Now, I think ultimately the entertainment industry, because the investments are so heavy, and we've seen this, that the movie studios and everything, they're obsessed with $300 million blockbusters, right? They can't be small and agile anymore. And that's where a guy like you and other creatives have that real advantage, because you're not building your model to scale out to, you know, dominate like global Chinese markets. You can actually make small but interesting, independent stuff that can be properly distributed. But that in and of itself is not going to slay the Goliath. So it is important that you have kind of the avenues for creativity that you're creating now.
Exactly. And so I appreciate all of that. And I appreciate you saying that. And my hope, it's not just my hope, I think a prediction is what's going to happen is the democratization we're going to see, at the very least, there's two possibilities, right? The big guys are able to find a way to retain their power. That can absolutely happen. Or power shifts to somebody else, okay? While that shifting happens, we need to strike. The iron is hot right now. We need to be making good entertainment right now, because this could be our last chance. Oren, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the stream. Do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Sure. Oren McIntyre Show is on Blaze TV. It's also on YouTube and Rumble and all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks a lot for having me on, man, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, brother. God bless you, and you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Awesome. Always great talking to Oren. I wanted to have him on. He's a super sharp guy. It's also, I like the way he analyzes things, so I was curious to hear his perspective on some of this stuff. I thought y'all might be curious to hear his perspective, but I'm going to go back to reading some of these chats. You guys are all going to get to hear me butcher some of these pronunciations. You know, I'm good at reading words. I'm bad at reading names, unfortunately. I feel like I have some kind of name dyslexia, where if I've not read a name before, I butcher. Listen, maybe I'm just dyslexic and I have all of the words memorized, and I just don't have your name memorized yet because I haven't seen it before. Who knows? But I have trouble with names. Bazemore1234 says C.S. Lewis, Till We Have Faces, and Dirt Poor, Robin's Queen of the Night are peak must read / watch. 3X Medic says, just got home from the hospital. Glad you made your goal. I'm proud of you all. Happy Thanksgiving and everyone in chat, to you and everyone in chat. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. This is really exciting. Listen, I've got a tremendous amount to be thankful for this year with the funds being raised for this show, and also for you guys. I have the most incredible audience on the internet. The fact that we were able to do this. So you might not be aware of this, okay? But before we launched this crowdfunding campaign, we took a lot of time to think about how long the campaign should last and about how much we could reasonably ask for, how much it would take to produce this show. There were a lot of conversations about it, and we ended up with the exact timeline that we chose, and we ended up with the amount that we chose. I was told, well, $500K, that's kind of ambitious for a channel your size. That's what I was told. I said, well, we need $500K to make a season of the show. We just do need that if we're going to want to make it look nice and polished and clean. So we got to shoot for the goal. We got to take that risk. And, you know, if we don't make it, that's unfortunate. But I got to be honest about what this is going to take. I got to be upfront with my audience about the amount of money we're going to need. And so we went for the full 500, even though the analysis I saw showed that an amount like 300 was way safer. And thanks to you guys, thanks to your incredibly generous contributions, thanks to Tim for allowing me the use of his platform, thanks to all of the people who prayed for us throughout the course of this campaign, thanks to gargantuan donators who sent massive sums, one of whom is anonymous, the other's named Rodney, awesome guy, good Catholic guy. We were able to reach the finish line. This is an immense achievement. This sends a very clear message to the entertainment industry and also to the conservative institutions that this is what people want. And as the landscape changes and it becomes more apparent that people are not buying the nonsense that Hollywood is selling them, and as venture capital tries to step into this space and profit off of our values as opposed to trying to promote them, they will all see the success that has existed, not for the bad actors and the cynics trying to exploit our movement, and not for the traditional studios who have made their fortune and eventually lost it denigrating us and our way of life, but to people like us who have been doing this for over a decade, and fans like you who have been supporting us for just as long. We are building the future of entertainment here. And this is serious. I know it might be easy to look at something like this and say, well, these are cartoons. Fair, they are cartoons. That's the particular medium that I've chosen to learn and develop my skills in and become a producer in. But the reason this is so important is because a civilization cannot exist if its stories are told exclusively by people who hate it and want to destroy it. And that has been the case for the West for decades. We've had an entertainment industry based out of Hollywood primarily. And the content that they've been making has been anti-Christianity. It has been anti-America. It's been anti-conservatism. It's just been anti-natural law on a very basic level. And it's not that we need to make films and television shows that say, hey, we're conservative and we're going to put Joe Biden allegories in all of our films and say old man bad instead of orange man bad. The reality is, if you are telling a pro-human story that speaks to something genuine in the human experience, you are telling a traditional story. You are making right-wing media, whether people want to call it that or not. Think about all the different genres that exist. How can you have a left-wing superhero movie? The idea of a man, the patriarch, going out of his way to try to protect women and children, using his strength for others, somebody with power using that power for the sake of the common good, that's not a left-wing idea. The left-wing idea is we cut people with power down, that we ensure that everyone's on the same playing field, that no one's ever scary or dangerous. No one's able to serve people with abilities that exceed those of the general masses because we can't allow anyone to rise above them, because if we do, we're intimidated by them. Left-wing superhero films don't work. They turn into slop. They become banal. They have to put the message first. They get boring. This is what people have been complaining about with a lot of the superhero slop that's come out. It's not even that it's too much superhero media. It's that it doesn't even hit on the genre the way that people want to see it hit on. You deal with comedy that's made to serve ideology, that's trying to promote a left-wing ethos. It doesn't work because it's not funny, because there's no shared framework or understanding there. When Hannah Gadsby goes on stage and says, don't you hate it how the they, them, and your polycule never does dishes? People aren't sitting in the audience going, finally, somebody said it. They're sitting there and going, I'm being preached at, and this is boring, and it sucks. When somebody tells a romantic story, they make a romance film, they've got to do it with a man and woman. They have to, on some level, promote a traditional understanding of things. Whether you like it or not, Brokeback Mountain's only relevant cultural contribution was to give you a funny way to call your buddy gay when he's dressed in anything that looks like a cowboy might wear it. Left-wing art that tries to force their way of life doesn't actually work in the long run. That's why we're taking entertainment back. You guys made that possible with your contributions, with your prayers, and by sharing this. Thank you. And so I'm going to go over to chat. We're going to bring some other awesome, exciting people here in a little bit. There's one in particular you might be interested. One person in particular you might be interested in talking to. But I want to hear from you guys. You've been hearing from me. Let me talk to you. Freedom Tunes has more than earned our support. We love you. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. God bless you, and thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. We got some very nice... Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Someone sent a very nice chat. I just want to pull their screen out to read it. This is very, very nice. Very kind. They said, love your stuff. So this is from Joel Clifton, 6312, said, love your stuff. Been a fan for years. Best satire out there, bar none. Your lead up and punchlines are genius. I gave 500 to the show. Here's another 50 for whatever. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's huge, man. That's very generous, and your words are extremely generous and kind as well. I am so honored, genuinely, that you feel that way. And that's the highest praise. When you guys sent money into this show, it sent the message that you really do love and care about this content, and you want to see our operation grow. And so aside from just being humbled and very grateful for your contributions in that way, that it's going to allow us to produce something big and awesome that I could not have produced without your help, it sends the message that you guys really value what we're doing, and that means a tremendous amount. We all work really hard on this stuff, man. Everyone on the team works really, really hard to make these cartoons, and you guys showing your support in full force in a way that we were told was unrealistic before we started. It's incredible. You know what's unrealistic? Doing a cartoon every week or 2 cartoons a week on YouTube. You got to try to do the things that are unrealistic if you want to have any level of success. If you want to try to win this culture war, if you want to try to take this country back, you got to be able and willing to do things that some might say aren't realistic. I've got an incredible audience, and I knew that. And that's part of why I said, we're not going to play it safe. We are going to go for the full amount that we need for this. Because I know that I've been able to rely on you guys for years to come out for us and watch our content and enjoy it and support us. And I know that I have the best audience on YouTube. I do. I just do. Take that, Tim. Ha, my audience is better. Tim's got an awesome audience too, and there's a lot of overlap. Tim's got an awesome audience, and there's a lot of overlap. A lot of you are fans of both. So thank you. Someone says, are you getting pinged? Yeah, sorry. Let me, I would mute that tab, but we're going to have some people joining from Discord. Seamus, 1, God bless you and your team and everyone who donated. 2, please do a fat electrician voice / intro to announce your show. What's a fat electrician voice? What's a fat electrician voice? Like, hey guys, we're gonna come over here. Like a fat voice? Looks like you plugged that in wrong. That's my impression of an electrician. Is that you called them because you plugged something in wrong? AX Jag Film said, freeing my tune. God bless you. Thank you. We are about to bring in one more very special, awesome person. One of the hardest working people I know, who is on my team, who is going to hop in to chat. Oh. This is so funny. This chat started playing from my phone. I was like, where's the echo? I was like, have I finally lost my mind? No, it was is from chat. So we are going to. Oh, someone said Fat Electrician is a YouTuber. He's a good guy. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I'm gonna bring Caleb in here in a second. Let's see. Let's give him a little buzz. Let's give him a little buzzerino. You know what? Actually, instead of Discord, no, yeah, we're gonna do Discord. Come on, pick up. Can you believe it? Can you believe he's doing this to us? Does he not want to hang out with us? Does he not want to be our friend? Where are ya? Where are ya? He said he's done with us, through with us. He's sick of us. Just give me a buzz when you're ready. He's done with us, through with us, sick of us. Caleb said he hates me, and he hates us. Ring, ring, ring. Banana phone, don't I feel like a buffoon? It is a banana phone, because we're going to chimp that Caleb didn't answer. There we go. All right, bro, hold on. Can you hear me? Oh, no, can you hear me? Don't worry, he can't hear me, but you know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do? We're going to get him in on Zoom. So that's just going to be easier. Can we expect screaming crackheads in the show? That's a really good question. I think there will be some jokes kind of akin to like our screaming crackhead motif. I can't say for sure just yet if we're going to have screaming crackheads. I don't think any of what I've written has them, but frankly, if we find a good way to get them in, we'll get some screaming crackheads. And if by that you mean the people who go, here, I'm going to hide myself real quick so you guys don't see me doing it on camera because I'm just too self-conscious. If by that you mean, and I'm going to do this before Caleb jumps in so we don't hurt his ears. Okay. If here, is that me? I'm hiding. If by that you mean people who go, then we might have some of that. We are going to admit Caleb in. All right, man. Can you hear me? Are you in? He's connecting right now, so he can't hear us just yet, but he will hear us in 1 second here. That's exciting. That's fun. All right. He's going to be here in 2 seconds, guys. Caleb, can you hear us? He's still connected. Can you hear us, buddy?
Hello?
How's it going, my man? Chat, can you all hear Caleb? Can you all hear him? Can you all hear Caleb? I want to see in chat. I want you guys to let me know. All right, because I'm not exactly an audio wizard. Not exactly an audio whiz. All right, they can hear him. Beautiful. Caleb, good to have you in here, man.
Great to be here. Great to be here on this wonderful God-given Thursday where we've been funded for 24 hours at this point.
That's insane, dude. The fact that it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing from God. It's amazing that we got here. We have, literally the best team, the best audience. I have so much to be grateful for. This is gonna be the best Thanksgiving. Listen. I had a lot to say. I had a lot to be thankful for before this, but I've got a whole lot more. This is just insane. You guys are awesome. So Caleb, the past couple weeks have been nuts, and people in chat will probably be able to appreciate this. I kind of want to give you guys a breakdown of what happened because a lot of people are asked and have asked, well, why did you set the date you set for the crowdfunding campaign? Why the amount? Why only 6 weeks? Or I think it was like 5.5, 6 weeks. Somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks. I need to double check. It's all a blur to me now. Basically, there's a few reasons. So the reason we have the budget we have, I actually explained in the video that I made launching the campaign. As far as the time goes, we looked into successful crowdfunding campaigns. We tried to figure out the deadline. We also knew that, firstly, we could not run the crowdfunding campaign indefinitely. There's a lot of reasons for that. You can't fund something like this on an ongoing basis for the first set of seed money you need. Maybe for season 2, once the show's off the ground, we'll be able to do something like that instead of one big crowdfunding push. But in order to raise a really large sum of money all at once, you have to have a deadline on it. And there's a few reasons. One is because the entire time that I've been doing the different podcasts and I've been on tour for this campaign, the team has basically had to operate with very little involvement from me, which has been really difficult. So like people have had to take on extra work that they don't usually take on because I haven't been there to help. And then in other ways, people have not had as much, other people have had not as much to do because I have not been around to write as much and voice as much as I usually am. So for me to like step away from Freedom Tunes the way I basically had to for like 4 to 6 weeks here, it's not something I can do long term. And so I knew that this was the upward limit of the amount of time I could take to do this. I also knew, again, that increases the budget for Freedom Tunes. That makes it more expensive to run. I also have to travel a lot. I have to get hotels. I have to catch planes. So it is expensive to run one of these. And so we knew there was only a set amount of time that we could run it for. And then you got to set a deadline at the end. You can't just be vague about it. And so we did. We ended up setting our end date, and that was for tonight. And usually what happens, people don't realize this, and I didn't know this before launching the crowdfunding campaign, but in case any of you are thinking of doing something similar in the future, or next time we do this, you're curious about what we're doing, if we do another large campaign, you raise the vast majority of your funds in the first and last week. And then through the entire middle, you're just kind of squeaking along with really, really low percentage donations per day. Like it can still be a good chunk of money, but percentage-wise, you're trying to squeak by with like 0.5%, 1% or something. So here's the advice they gave. They say, and Caleb, you'll be able to refresh me. It's something like, they say crowdfunding campaigns get 40% of their money in the first and last week, and they say you want like 30% by the end of the first week. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And we were at 33% by the end of the second day, which is huge. By the end of the first week, we were basically at 40%. But then it took like, so we had 40% after just a couple of days. And then what always happens with every crowdfunding campaign, no matter how hard you hit it, no matter how many different shows you try to do, no matter how much you keep promoting it, the initial excitement is always going to wear off, and then you're always going to kind of try to squeak by in the middle. And at that point, the funny thing is, even though you gain less money at that time, you have to work the hardest, because what happens is you're like, I need to raise a percentage per day so that, because we have 40% now. If we get to the final week and we still only have 40%, people are going to go, it's only 40% funded. It's not going to raise the money. And then no one's going to want to contribute, because people don't contribute to a project if they don't think it's going to get funded. So what you have to do for the next couple of weeks is you need to just work as hard as you can to squeak like 0.5% to 1% out per day. And then you get to that final week and people see like, oh, they're past 70% or whatever. They could get this funded. We're all going to jump in and contribute. That middle point is the most stressful part of the process, ironically, when you're just squeaking out that those small percentages, because even though they're small percentages, it's still huge amounts. Like 1% of our total is $5,000. So there's days in the middle where there's little traction and momentum, and it's like, I got to raise $10,000 today. I got to raise $5,000. Again, I could not have done this without you guys. I could not have done this without your generosity. The fact that we were able to hit those numbers is huge. And I couldn't have done it without Caleb and also the rest of the team grinding for me so that I could grind out here to raise the campaign funds. So Caleb, I want to thank you for that. And I also want to give you a chance to kind of jump in, let people know how the campaign was from your perspective, just grinding and pushing on all the production stuff behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, well, I appreciate that. And for real, like, even the opportunity to work on Freedom Tunes has been an exceptional opportunity in my life. Like, it's
Thank
so,
you, man.
I mean, it's the kind of employment where I get such freedom, and I never have to worry about what I'm going to say. I never have to, you know, like
you actually have to worry about what I'm gonna say. You're like, what did he say on Timcast tonight, bro? Are we canceled?
But that's a great thing, is that like when I joined, it was sort of this thing where a lot of people, my friends, will talk to me and they'll work in the animation industry, and some of them have to be really, you know, savvy just to stay employed. You know, I had a friend who was worked at a certain company and, you know, was a major part of animating their like first feature film. They made it, and then shortly after that, they canned that entire department, and they had the foresight to learn a new animation program and jump over to a different like show like the week before their like entire department got canned. So it's like, you know, the animation industry, you know, even for professionals, and you know, she's like the best animator I know. So like even for these like professionals, these really talented people, it's cutthroat. And I have had this just like this job where I get to like, you know, I wake up and I message the CEO, you know, on Discord, and I'm like, hey man, look at this funny thing I found sometime, you know, something like that. Like usually you don't get to send like a meme to your CEO, but yeah, this campaign, that's the funny thing is, you know, like kind of a slight rule of thumb. It's a little bit more at the beginning and the end, funny enough, but it's kind of like you get a third in the first week or like the first, you know, couple days, you get a third in the last couple days, and that whole middle part is like the other third you have to make. And it's funny because you know that going into it, like you know that that's what it is, you know that that's what this whole thing is, and you're still Caleb with a K. No, Caleb with a C. Yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing someone in chat talking about Caleb is better with a C in my opinion. That's how.
Wait, is there Caleb with a K?
Yeah, I actually there was people in my grade who were you know, back when I was in school, who were like Caleb with a K, and they also had the same last name as me, so it was really inconvenient.
Oh my gosh, dude! And was their last name Black with a C?
Yeah. No, well, that's the weird thing too.
Caleb BLACC, bro. That actually goes pretty hard.
When I went to college, there was a guy named Caleb Blue also in my class.
Are you serious?
Really weird. Yeah.
What's with all these colored people going with the name Caleb?
Well, maybe don't say that because he's a black guy.
I knew what I was doing.
But that's the crazy thing, right? So it's like, so this whole middle section, even though you know that this is the slow section, you're still watching the crowdfunding campaign like, oh man, it's going slow right now.
Dude, I know.
And you know that this is the slow part and that it's gonna pick up on the last 3 days. But you're just sitting there like, yeah, but like, what if it just doesn't? Like, what if they just don't? But it's like, of course they will. Of course it does. That's like how it always goes. And the fact that we got that much in the first couple of days, like, should have been obvious, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, but it's true. I mean, it does get a little nerve wracking when momentum wears off. I'll be honest. I'm not just saying this. I'm just not saying this in hindsight. I knew we were going to get fully funded. I knew it. I had faith in this project, faith in the audience, and also faith in God. I knew this was what I was supposed to do. A lot of prayers were being said. I felt it wasn't even that I felt. It was that I logically knew. I didn't always feel it. Because as humans, because of the fall, because of original sin, our emotions are not subjugated to reason. So you can logically know something and not feel it. You can know everything's going to be fine and still feel anxious. And when you're working on a crowdfunding campaign, which is the largest and arguably most important thing you've ever done in your career, and it's just like a 6-week-long ordeal, and you're in the middle here, and you're kind of squeaking along percentage-wise, which again is expected. You're going, man, we got to be at least at 70% by the final week so that people will have faith that we're going to get fully funded and jump back in. And again, I knew we were going to hit that, but a lot of it was momentum picking up because there were days where it's like, you know, we only got 0.5% for like a couple days in a row, or even like there were some, it was like only 0.3% a couple days in a row. And you got to remind yourself, this is the slowdown. This is what happens. And then it's like towards that last week, it really did just pick back up. Like it almost like it follows some kind of law of physics. It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, we actually are.
It really was crazy because the difference between like, you know, you kind of think like it's this thing where it's not that people aren't being generous, because they are being generous, because you see that people are giving, even on those days where it's like 0.3%, you'll see like 4 or 5 people are donating like $100 to something like this. And it's like, that's a lot of money for something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's a lot of money for a person to give to a project that, you know, they can only judge based on the quality of our YouTube channel. And we're asking to make something very different.
Yeah.
And so people are still being generous, but then when it actually starts to hit those moments where people are being exceptionally generous, and that's the craziest thing, is even when the momentum was picking up, you know, in those first few days, I think we hit our goal because we actually had quite a few people, not as much as, you know, our last cup, or, you know, as yesterday, of course, but we had a few people giving some quite large sums. And I will say that, you know, in these last few days before that day where we were picking up, you know, 2%, you know, around 2% each day on those last days before our big day yesterday, it wasn't really like, oh, we got this huge donation, and that it was just like tons of people were donating. And so
Yeah.
it is like you said, it's like a lot of people just start to say, all right, you know, if we're 3 days out, I guess it's time to do it now. You know, I guess I only have my last chance. So
And there's some really awesome people. I mean, there's a lot of really cool people who've donated multiple times. That happens a lot. And so a lot of times what happens is a person will donate at the beginning and they'll go, I'll also donate at the end. And especially when you go over a month, you know, a person might be like, yeah, I have to wait till my next, I wish I could give more. I'll wait till my next paycheck and give at the end or something. So people are very, very generous. People are extremely generous. And like I said, we could not have done this without the generosity of our audience. And as I was traveling and doing these things, I remember I was talking with the person who was helping me like manage the campaign, our web developer. I'll give him a shout out. His name's Paul. Awesome guy. He and I would just crunch the numbers every day and figure out where we were at and how we were doing. And he was like, you know, this is how much we raised in the first week. And then what we need to do is we need to raise, basically, we need to average 1.3% every day for throughout the middle. And then at the end, we'll only need to raise like 25%, which should be doable. And we ended up getting close to that. But then again, there were days where we had serious dips. And then we had to, in the last couple of days, we had to raise 30%, which was still realistic. And it was still, like, again, at that point, it was like, all right, we got into the final week with 70%. We're in a spot to finish. But we could not have done it without the insane generosity from you guys. And even though I mentioned at different points in time, as I was doing this over the course of like a month and a half, there was like a feeling of anxiety. I never doubted that this was going to get funded. Like I just knew on a deep level that you guys were going to come out for this. I knew we were going to be able to make this show. And I knew that this was what I was supposed to be doing. So it's just incredible to see it all come together. I have felt very guided through all of this, though. I felt very guided by the hand of God through all of this. And
it was very funny how my feelings around this evolved too, because I kind of remember when we were first throwing around ideas for, you know, what are we doing, not post Freedom Tunes, but you know what I mean, like on top, like what's our next step?
Yeah, because we knew, and this is something I've said a million times. I've been saying this to my team for years, that Freedom Tunes is an amazing product, but the kind of efficiency that our team has is lightning in a bottle. And it could service way more products than just Freedom Tunes, and we have to take it to the next level. So we've been talking for years about trying to figure out the right project to take this to the next level and make something bigger.
And so that's the thing is when I was thinking about this, you know, when we were talking about this back and forth, for a long time you had thrown out, well, we're looking at this place, we're looking at this place, we're looking at these potential people for sponsoring, and also maybe we should crowdfund it. And I remember at first being like, oh, crowdfunding, no, I don't know. Like I hear you, but you know, it's a lot to ask of an audience. And you know, sometimes like just getting funding from a company is pretty like stable. And I just kept thinking like, surely that's not what we should do. And then we kind of talked about it and we talked about it and we talked about all the different options and all the things we could do afterwards going forward. And then at a certain point when you just said, you know, it didn't feel like anything had changed, but you said, what if we do this and do this? And we start by doing crowdfunding and doing Twisted Plots. And I was like, yeah, like it suddenly just like clicked with me. And I was like, wait, no, yeah, no, absolutely. No, we can definitely do that. And that's definitely the best move. And it was just this weird like sensation of suddenly being like, not just like at peace with the idea, but like totally on board and being like, wait, I have no idea what changed here. I have no idea what prompted me to feel this way, but yeah, no, that is the move. We should do this thing as a crowdfunding campaign. We should be independently funded for this thing. And we can do it. We can do that.
And no, sorry, go ahead.
And that's the thing is it's just like, it's really again, when we were throwing around the amounts, we were kind of trying to decide, what we could possibly do it for. And I think, I was talking to you guys about this yesterday, and I was talking to some people. This is only doing Kickstarter. I didn't look at Indiegogo and every single crowdfunding platform that exists, but there's only like 11 animation Kickstarters that earned more money than we did on this campaign here.
That's nuts. Yeah, this is a top 20 animation crowdfunding campaigns of all time.
And when you start looking into some of them, it's like some of them are just dubs for anime. Some of them are just pitches for greater projects.
Not a whole season of a show.
Yeah, yeah. And some of them are just these massive projects made by massive, big studios or like very famous studios. I know that I was telling the team that like the next biggest project on Kickstarter after us was the second episode of Little Witch Academia, which was like a huge thing online when it came out. And it was quite a while ago, but the idea that we got as much as like this very famous anime thing, not as much, but nearly, that's the first thing above us. Like,
it's nuts.
Below us is all these famous projects I knew, shows that I'd watched, famous things I'd clearly heard of and knew as these big Kickstarter successes. And the fact that it's a lot of money that we raised, and I think
it's huge. It's $500,000, dude. Like, this is huge.
It's really something that shouldn't be underestimated, because that's just a crazy, like, we're so incredibly blessed to have this audience for real, like to have an audience that is generous, that wants to give, but also have an audience that's like engaged enough, that is interested in us, that wants to see us make more stuff. And that's the funny thing, is you really do see, I won't go too in depth with this, but Freedom Toon has shooters. I don't know if we have people out there who are, anytime someone comes up with something that's like a critique of us or whatever, people are in there like, no, dude, Freedom Toons is great. Like, it's actually really funny. It feels like in every person's audience I've seen, who anytime I see someone make fun of Freedom Toons, people go like, no, Freedom Toons is great. It's amazing to have an audience that is so passionate about our stuff and cares about what we make, and is so eager to be like, no, I like this. This is content that is good. This is content that is awesome, and I want to support this. That's incredibly generous, you guys. And I guess I want to say thank you to everybody. I want to say thank you to everyone who's donated and been so incredibly generous with your money, and believed in our team and likes the stuff that we make, because I have put a lot of my last 5 years of my life into, more than 5 years. I mean, almost, we're getting close to 10. Yeah.
Yeah. You've been working, you've been working for Freedom Toons probably like 9 years, eight or 9 years. And then for a while, so for like Caleb was part-time for a while, but he was just really, really good. It was funny, dude. I remember the first time when I was like, knew that you were really good was a Dr. Mac stuff. It was originally I was just sending you Dr. Mac stuff. Man, guys, this journey has been incredible. When I started Freedom Toons, again, it was just me trying to get a cartoon out every other week. And the way YouTube's algorithms worked, it was like, you got to upload every week, you got to upload every week, you got to upload every week. And so I was trying to figure out, how can I, as one person with like an occasional friend helping, how on earth can I get out a video a week? Because that's anyone who knows anything about animation is going to tell you it's too much. So I had a couple of things figured out. Firstly, what I would do is I had cartoons like Debates with Strawmen and Dr. Mac that I would release one of at least once a month. And then also the debunkers, because the debunkers are pretty simple to animate. So I would have Debates with Strawmen, debunkers, Strawmen, and then like one cartoon that was kind of an original skit. And a big mission for me, a big goal for me was like, all right, someday we are going to get Freedom Tunes to the point where every single week we're uploading a brand new skit, not something based on a template or a format we've done before, but a completely new original skit. And then we got to that point eventually. We got to the point where we would do 2 a month plus short, or 2 a week plus shorts, which is amazing. We've been astoundingly blessed. But when I was building up to that point and I was trying to figure out how we did this, one thought was, okay, here's what I'll do. I and one other person on the team, there's this fellow named Ghost Boy, who at this point I was working with basically full time. And I was like, he and I will like make a cartoon like every other week or maybe every week together. But for times when we're overwhelmed, you know, we will have like episodes of Dr. Mac go up, or we'll make a Debates with Strawmen together, since those are easier to animate. And Caleb, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, by the way, but I'm pretty sure Dr. Mac stuff was the first stuff I started sending you to work on.
Yes.
Because
yes,
the
absolutely.
first thing I ever saw that I was like, oh, he's good at this, was you sent me back. Because by the way, guys, I tried this a lot. I tried to get other people to help and animate on this stuff like a lot. And no offense to them, but they just weren't cut out for it. They would either send me stuff really late, or they would send stuff back to me that didn't have good character animation, where you'd go, these expressions don't map onto the dialogue and the intonation. And the first thing you ever sent me back for Dr. Mac, I was like, finally someone like crushed it, because there were so many different people who had helped, but like either weren't reliable, or the stuff they sent back to me, like the character animation didn't work. And I remember I was like, okay, thank goodness. Like, this is someone I know I can rely on to actually do this.
And well, that's really nice. I remember starting on Dr. Mac and being like, when I was first starting, I remember you saying like, oh yeah, this should probably take you like 30 seconds or something to do this. 30 minutes to do this, maybe like an hour. And I remember like sweating, because my first couple assignments I did took me like hours and hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm totally not cut out for this. But you really pick it up fast. Like, you know, you're working with a new program, and
That's true.
you know, I was still in college at the time. I hadn't learned to animate in the program we were using for Freedom Tunes. And it's the funniest thing, because then when I went into my next year of college, I had to take a class about learning all the animation programs. And when it came to, you know, using Adobe Animate, it was like the easiest thing in the world, because I had been using it with you like the whole summer. And then I just started, you know, for our final project, I think I was the only person in class. You know, he said, you can use whichever program you want for your final project. And I think I was the only person who used Animate, because I was just so comfortable in it that I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do that for sure. And I was really happy with that project too. And that was with Araya, who, you know, I'm pretty sure you had him as well.
He's the man. Yeah. Araya was
yeah.
the man.
Yeah. Great animator. Definitely like one of the 2 professors, I would say, like in my entire time in college, I learned absolutely probably 80% of what I need to know from 2 professors. And he was one of the 2.
Oh yeah, Araya was solid. Weber really took me under his wing in a lot of ways. Araya was great as well. Weber really took me under his wing in a lot. Weber's a great guy. He needs prayers. He needs some prayers. I'm not sure how much I should say about his situation. He had some serious injuries recently, but he's really good man, really good professor. I just want to shout him out. Weber was a huge help for me when I was in college. Awesome teacher. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much Freedom Tunes has grown over the years, and the fact that we have like gotten to the point that we're at. It's insane. Like I said, we've been incredibly blessed, and I knew, like I said, I sort of always knew that this is what I wanted to do. So in a weird way, it's hard to say, oh no, I never believed this would happen. Like, I'll just be honest, I did. And that's genuinely, it's not like me being cocky or something like, yeah, I knew we were going to crush it. But it was just that, here's what I should say. I didn't necessarily know that we were going to like crush it when I started Freedom Tunes, but I knew it was what I was supposed to do, if that makes sense. And when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do, it doesn't feel counterintuitive when it works out, I guess. But before we started this campaign, because Caleb and I had been talking, and Caleb's my right-hand man, I like consult with him a lot and like, you know, bounce things off of him all the time. And I was like, you guys don't know about this, all right? But we've got a lot of cool stuff going on behind the scenes, and I can't spoil it. I can't say everything we're doing. We're doing some cool stuff. We've got some cool stuff going on that I haven't announced.
Very exciting.
You guys, your minds are going to be blown by the amount that we've done in the last year. When you guys see the stuff we've been working on behind the scenes over the course of the last year, like, it's actually going to blow your mind. You're not going to believe it. You are not going to believe it. So, very exciting stuff, and I can't say too much, but I was talking with Caleb a lot about these different projects that we dove into. What happened was with the 2024 election, obviously, we had a little extra money after the 2024 election, because that's what always happens. After an election, business is really good, and then it drops, and then it slowly raises back up, and then you have another big election year 4 years from then. But what I did was, because we had an upkick in like revenue from the election, I was like, all right, we are going to invest back into the business, because this is the time when I think we need to start making bigger projects and contributing to the culture in a larger way. And so I made some investments into getting more things produced and more things made. The big thing, obviously, was the pilot, which those of you who supported at twistedplots.com can go see. And those, if you haven't, you still have 7 hours to go support and then get a link to the pilot. And then it's you won't be able to get a link until we do a little bit of polishing and release it to the public, till we do some audio work basically and release to the public. But we had that pilot made. There's a couple other really cool things that we've either made or that are in progress.
Yeah.
But I was trying to pitch some, actually at first I was considering, because I was open to the abundance, maybe we pitch this around. Maybe someone wants to buy some of this from us, not buy from us in the sense that we lose creative control, but it's possible that there's investors who want to fund this, or there's streaming services who might want to work with us. And so I did have some conversations and some meetings with different organizations. Some of them seemed interested, but there was part of me that was like, I don't know if we want to go with I don't know if we want our first project to kind of be done by a company. There was a lot to think about there. Others really, really loved the projects, but like couldn't afford them. And then it occurred to me that what we needed to do, regardless of whether we could finance this in a traditional way by having someone fund it, it just hit me that even if it hit me that we couldn't actually do it that way. It hit me that this needed to be something that we produced without outside interference, because for our first big project, it needs to be something that really is from us. Because if you if you go to a large business and they say, we'll give you $2 million to make this show, which, by the way, if they just wanted me to write, A, I wouldn't like that because I want to work with my animation team. But B, what would happen is I wouldn't have as much say over how the animation was produced. And my writing is very visual, and I need the visual gags to land. And unfortunately, not every animation team is good at pulling visual humor off. Ours is incredible at it. And so I was like, I need to be able to work with this team. It just got to the point where I realized that we were going to need to be completely in control of whatever we made for our first big project. Because if we weren't, if someone else was in control of it and they said, change this, change that, then people go, they were good at making the short little cartoons, but they couldn't make long form content. When in reality, the project was changed by someone along the way and wasn't reflective of our actual creative sensibilities. So I knew that this had to be crowdfunded. And I was like, well, I need a proof of concept. I need to make this, and we need to work on this pilot. I can't just expect the audience to finance this if we haven't already put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of our own into it. And so I financed the pilot completely out of pocket, like completely with business budget that we had, and instead of like spending that in other ways or, paying out or anything like that, I just went, we need to invest in making something really big, even if it's not going to have a guarantee of returning the profit, because I need to show people that I do believe in this firmly. I do believe in this show. And so we did it. And now here we are. We got the best possible outcome. We took the risk. We went for it. And now, all that's left is producing the whole thing. So there's still road ahead of us,
Right.
But I'm very confident.
It's all easy from here on out.
Yeah. But I'm very, very confident. I've got Caleb. I'll let you add to that, and then we got to jump to. There was someone else who's going to hop on. I'll have to jump in a couple minutes. But one of the chats we got I'll let you add to that, and then I'll read one of the chats to you because it's a question you could probably answer as well.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I think you're right about we had to do this here because truly, like, yes, if it's a failure, then people blame it on us. The other side of the coin is if it's a success, people blame it on them. Also, they say, well, of course it succeeded. Of course it was like decent. They pumped a bunch of money into it, and they had these big sponsors, and it was sort of this astroturfed whole thing.
Yep.
This is like, if this is a success, now it's like, well, we did that. We did this with our crowdfunding money. We produced a product that people loved, and it's something, as a brand, if we ever do something that's like, okay, this is impossible, we would never ask our audience to give us $5 million or something.
Yeah.
But let's say we have a project that takes that, we can go to somebody and say, listen, this is how invested our audience is. This is what we can do on our own. And all we need is money. I think it's a way to, I think in the future, we will be able to retain more control, even if we do get investors, because we'll be able to say, we have this level of quality. You don't need to babysit us.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge too. I think that's really exciting.
Well,
So,
exactly. This is something that really allows me to maintain the relationship between myself, the team, and the audience that we've had, and that has been such a smash hit success for Freedom Tunes over the course of the last 11 years. And we don't have to worry as much about outside interference, because being able to say, not only were we able to make this show on this budget, which animation is usually not produced for, like a show like this would cost a large studio millions. I'm able to say, like, not only were we able to make the show on our budget, but our audience financed it, because that's how invested and bought in they are, and that's how hungry people are for this kind of content. And so it gives us a lot of bargaining power and leverage in the future if we ever do want to work for a larger company. But the cool thing is we might not ever even need to, honestly. There are
for sure.
a couple of things that we have in the works, like I mentioned. There are some screenplays I've written for animated films. There may or may not even be some development work on some of those things. I can't say too much, but I can't say too much, but I'm just saying, when Twisted Plot season 1 is done, we're going to look at, we would love to do a season 2. And we'll look into that. And we'll also look into, leveraging some of the success to potentially doing some films and maybe other shows. Maybe this is the start of something much bigger. Maybe this is the start of us being able to deliver on some things that other people have promised and have not been able to pull off. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So what was that chat? What was that chat?
Sure,
you wanted
yeah.
me to-
They said, hi, I'm an aspiring animator and filmmaker this is from Mr. Fantastic 7568. They said, hi, I'm an aspiring animator and filmmaker that wants to make content on YouTube. Do you have any advice for me? Just be a right-wing bigot grifter, and then everyone will support you. No, so the lie that's told by jealous left-wingers who don't have an audience as awesome as we do is, well, if you just make right-wing content, then the alt-right pipeline that YouTube has very intentionally built to turn everyone into evil Nazis will throw millions of dollars at you. And that's nonsense. It's not even remotely true. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't matter. Like, listen, man, there's no DEI hires when it comes to content consumption, when it comes to how the customer is actually going to spend their money. If you want your work to succeed, and by DEI hire, I'm using that in a cheeky way in both directions. No one's going to go, oh, like, you're conservative, so I want to watch your stuff. You actually need to churn stuff out consistently. It needs to be good and it needs to be funny. So I know you're like, how do I make a career? And I go,
Well, you just got to make it good. You got to make good stuff and not bad stuff.
but genuinely, just hear me when I say consistency is the key to success, and producing stuff often is the key to success. At this point in time, this might be a controversial thing to say, but what I would say to a young animator is, well, it is good to really learn the fundamentals and practice and get really, really good just at doing frame by frame and master the craft. If you want to produce long form content, if you want to make movies, if you want to make TV, if you want to make shorts even, quantity is quality. The reason I say that is because the more you make, the better you're going to get. So just keep making things, finish the projects you start, make as much as you can as far as content goes. That'll A, help you build an audience, and B, it'll help you get better at what you do. So for the last 11 years we've been making Freedom Tunes, we've churned out a bunch of skits. And you can look at the track record. We've gotten better and better at it. We've gotten better at comedy. Now we're in a place where we are capable of doing a full-length animated show where we are able to put like the quality first. And it's not to say we don't with Freedom Tunes, but we have to churn them out so quickly. And everyone on the team has something that they're like extremely good at, extremely invested in, even though everyone jumps into different roles from time to time. And so I don't want what I'm saying to make it sound like I'm telling you, just produce a bunch of slop and don't worry about quality. You got to worry a lot about quality, but part of the way you get to making high quality stuff is by making a bunch of stuff. And the more you make, the better you get. I think, was it Tex Avery? There was some early animator, some legend who said you have like 300,000 bad drawings in you before you get to the good ones. And that's kind of how it is. You need to make a lot of stuff that isn't so great before you start to figure out where the problem areas are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It really is a lot of just doing stuff. I mean, when I was doing animation before Freedom Tunes, I really was a huge perfectionist, and I hardly had anything, to show for it. I mean, I did show, Seamus asked if I had a demo reel, and I sent him what I had, and it was some stuff, but it wasn't this mass quantity. I was really pretty low on the amount of animation I had done, and the vast majority of it ended up being for school assignments, because when I was working on my own assignments, I just didn't, well, not assignments, but my own projects, I just wanted it to be perfect, and I didn't want it to be anything. But I have learned so much more from this deadline heavy Freedom Tunes process and working on progressively more and more complicated animation on Freedom Tunes. I've learned so much more from that process. Like half of my animation skill is not from school. It's from learning stuff on the fly, on the job. And that's like it's a big deal. And it's really hard. I think the hardest thing to do is to start just making stuff and being okay with it not being perfect.
Yeah.
Because you really need to learn every part of the process. You really do. So you really need to go and just make the whole thing. Because if you don't finish.
Oh no! The meeting ended. My free meeting ended. What happened to my Zoom account? What happened to my Zoom account? Caleb was talking about how important it is to finish things, and then he finished the call. Then Zoom dropped him. Can you believe this? Can you believe this nonsense? Oh no. Hold on a second. We're just going to get him back in for a couple seconds here. That's hilarious. We're talking about getting things done and then he vanishes. Don't worry. We're going to grab him. We're going to get him right back in just to say his final thoughts. Sorry. That's hilarious. So what happened was this Zoom account, I think it's an older account. I haven't used it in a while because I never use Zoom because it's basically Chinese spyware. But it's what I had to use for this. And so because I hardly ever use Zoom, I guess I don't have the proper time limit. All right, he's back in. He's going to be back in 3 seconds. And then we're going to hear his final thoughts. All right, connecting Caleb Black. Hold on a second. All right, are you back in, dude?
I am back. Sorry, let me just pause the stream because I was listening to what you were talking about there.
That's hilarious that you got booted right when you were talking about finishing things.
I know, it is true. It is true. You do actually have to like wrap up the stuff you're doing because you're never going to learn. A million things that I learned from Freedom Tunes are things like getting way better at like editing audio and doing compositing and doing camera work. Dude, camera work was something I felt completely unprepared to do in the past when I was just working, because there's really nothing like camera work when you're doing drawings. And even when you're starting animation, yeah, they teach you how to frame shots and everything, but really, especially the way you have to do it for YouTube, there's really nothing that teaches you how to do that. And so many people are it's like it's the first thing that people notice is amateurish. Is if your camera work looks bad, then you can immediately go like, oh, this looks bad. You can have the best looking animation,
That's
and
true.
if the camera's in a weird spot, it just looks wrong. It looks cheap. It looks badly made.
There have been
even if it's
times,
animated super well.
and sometimes, listen, things do get, like when you're making a cartoon every 3 or 4 days or whatever, it can be tough to stay on top of everything. But there have been times, there was one time in particular where like we had a video that all the animation was totally done, and someone had jumped onto the camera work who wasn't used to doing camera work, and it was a bad call on my part. I should have assigned it to someone else, but but when it came time to like upload and edit, I was like, we got to push this video. Like, we actually can't release this because we can't have camera work like this in a video. It like kills the momentum. It kills the joke. It ruins the. So you'd be surprised. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think is as important to the process, but like knowing how to composite, knowing how to do camera work and stuff, that's really, really important.
And that's a big reason why I think just making stuff and finishing it's gonna pain you to do this. Everyone wants their first project to be their thing that's in their head that they love.
Yeah.
Something that Troy, who was my professor at SCAD, God rest his soul, who was just an amazing guy, and he was also a Disney animator, super talented. And something that he said was like, if you have a character that it's been like your character that you want to do something with since you were 12, you cannot use that in my class. You cannot animate that character in my class.
That's a really good, honestly, it's really good advice.
Yeah, because it's like you're too attached to it. You know it too well. And you know, you're going to take this stuff personally. You're not going to be able to look at it from like an objective point of view. And this is stuff that has to like get done. So you can't be treating it like it's like your baby.
Yeah.
And it was like all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, you know, if that's the thing, is that everyone wants their first thing to be like their thing that they've always dreamed of doing. But really start with some stuff that's simple. You can start with 12-second animations and work your way up from there.
Yeah, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and you also can't try to like bite way more than you can chew off before you start.
No, for sure.
Well, dude, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for all your hard work. I absolutely could not do any of this without you. Everyone give a W in chat for Caleb. And I'm really excited to produce Twisted Plots with you, man. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've been praying this whole crowdfunding campaign that it would work out. Every night, you know, me and my wife pray together. And it has been such an, like you said, you know, you said it was one of the first things you said when we were funded. This is such an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
And honestly, my whole you know, career, this whole time working with you has been like a crazy blessing. So
God bless.
Thank you so much.
Dude, and
Thank you, audience,
likewise,
so much.
I mean, seriously, you've been a massive blessing to me and to the team, and it's it really is providential and incredible to have worked with you.
And thanks so much for that, guys, and thanks so much everyone for putting up with me on the stream. I'll see you later.
Get out of here! Get him out of here! Get him out! All right, that was Caleb, everybody. That was Caleb. He's awesome. So somebody asked. So we got a couple. So first, Josh Valen Art says, "Hey Seamus, congrats on reaching the goal. Thank you. If you're looking for more voice actors in the future, I'm a recent graduate from voice actor school. LOL. I can work for pennies, aka Canadian dollars." It's so funny because he wrote Canadian and then CAD, and when I saw that at first glance, I thought he was saying he went to SCAD and he was using the dollar sign for the S because it's an expensive college. And then he said, "God bless. SCAD's an art school. SCAD's an art school that Caleb and I actually went to. It's how we met." Someone said, "Any idea when the debunkers are coming back?" And is this their name is Yakub the Learned based? So yeah. Can I be honest with you guys? I love the debunkers. We want to do more of the debunkers. It's possible. It may or may not be the case that we have some debunkers stuff that I'm like almost like I'm like waiting for the right moment to release. Maybe I'm like almost nervous because I'm like it's such a big thing that you guys have wanted for so long. I'm like I don't want to just throw it out randomly. I'm like I want to wait for a special moment. We can release that pretty soon. I love the debunkers. Part of what I wanted to do for the debunkers is get like a separate team in place to consistently churn those out because they're actually not that difficult animation wise. There's just a lot of writing and research, and we need to get a pipeline in place for that allows me to just do the voices and the jokes and the writing without having to touch the editing or animation because it's just too much for me to juggle it with everything else. when we get that pipeline set up, also we'll be able to really release them really consistently. We were talking with some people. Part of the holdup is we did pitch debunkers. Again, some people were interested in it, but it was also like, I don't know if I want to work with larger groups. And then also we got some money. No. We got some money from sponsors a little while back that we were plugging in the debunkers. Like we would do each episode, they would give us a little bit of money, and it paid for the production of each episode. And so we were working with them, and then for whatever reason, the relationship didn't work. Great brand, really cool product, just the relationship didn't work. We couldn't see eye to eye in renegotiation. So we do want to try to get more debunker stuff funded and worked on. Debunkers are longer, and most of the writing and research comes in the form of like the skits, and also, most of the budget comes in the form of the writing and the research and the skits. But yeah, I love debunkers, and we want to make more of those. We do want to make more of those. Someone said, "How about for Christmas?" Ooh. People are asking about topic changes, and McPhoenix said, "Congratulations, brother. I'm so happy for you and wish you all the success in the world. Peace be with you. God bless." God bless you. God bless you. I got another cool chat. Oh yeah, that's right. I just read that about debunkers. So yeah, guys, listen. Thank you for this. And we're still going to stay on for a little bit longer. I'm going to read some chats from the Give, Send, Go now. And also we're going to bring somebody else into chat for a few minutes. But I wanted to, I want to thank you guys again. Obviously, if you guys want to help us make more, or if you guys want to, see the pilot, we have 6 hours, 50 minutes left for you to support and see that. Like if you were still looking to get perks or anything like that, we've still got 6 hours, 50 minutes. So you can go over and do that before the time is up and that door closes. eCoop1 says, "Best always." Anonymous giver gave $10. That is so sweet. Unwanted Ghost said, "When is Jason and the Government Man returning?" We may or may not have some stuff with, to do with Government Man in the can as well. We're gonna have to release some of that stuff in the near future. Government Man's a very fun character. I like the dynamic between Jason and Government. Here's the struggle. All right. We have so many awesome reoccurring characters. We have Government Man. We have the Dr. Mac show, the Echo Chamber. We've got the debates with Strawmen. We've got the debunkers. We've got these reoccurring characters, but the skits are also a lot of fun and a lot of crazy things happen every week. So we don't focus as much on producing the reoccurring stuff, but I'd like to do more of that. You know what? I think we'll probably do more of that this next year. So if that's what you're asking, we'll probably have more of those guys in this next year. Ryan K said, "Congrats, James and the team. I'm double dipping with my donation because I liked the pilot and think you guys could do something special if you kept it going. As somebody who loves video games as an art form and is working on them myself, I think conservatives have failed to realize how great they are and influential they can be. Question, what do you think that is? And what's your favorite game?" Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for your chat. As far as my favorite game goes, as far as my favorite little video game, here's the thing. I am not like an anti-video game person at all. I just don't play them that often. When I do play, you guys are going to make fun of me. You're going to call me a boomer. Someone said the fart left. That was a fun video. Some people, you're going to call me a boomer, all right? I like playing games from when I was younger. I'm very nostalgic like that. When I was a kid, my parents wouldn't buy us a video game system, so my brothers and I ended up like getting my mom to buy us a Sega Genesis at a garage sale instead of something new. So this is in like the early 2000s. I was playing like Sonic the Hedgehog probably 10 years too late as a kid. So I loved those old 16-bit video games. And I also, my friends who had more money, they had like N64s and Xboxes. And I loved Banjo-Kazooie, bro. That game, with my friend Jonathan had that. And I'd always want to play that when we were at his house. So I like a lot of the older games. And then as far as something relatively new, I guess in high school I played a lot of Call of Duty Zombies mode. I loved that. That was an awesome game. Ryan, thank you so much for your support. And yeah, dude, make art, make video games. We need more of it. We need more of that stuff in this movement. Anti-woke dog says anti-woke dog celebration. Was it the anti-woke dog? Do you guys think do we have the anti-woke dog in chat right now donating? Bro, anti-woke dog, say something in chat. I want to talk to you more. We have Radinex with 50. Thank you so much. So much generosity. So much generosity. Joey says, thanks, Seamus. Donating the last several hours after you've met your goal while sipping a white monster. Based? I've reached peak chud. Based? God bless you in the name of Mother Mary. God bless you. God bless you in the name of Mother Mary. That's beautiful. God bless you, my friend. Anonymous Giver says, Seamus, thank you for your content. Watching your appearances on the internet talking so strongly about your Catholic faith was a major factor in my reversion to Catholicism. I'm so thankful I can help now. Dude, you don't know how much that means to me. You don't know how much that means to me. God bless you. And thank you so much for saying that. God bless you. I'm very glad to hear that. That God could work through someone like me in that way is astounding. God bless you. Anonymous Giver says, keep up the fantastic work and congrats on reaching your goal. Thank you. Thank you. AJ the Snipe says, if it does well, it would be nice to see this on physical media like Blu-ray. Dude, I would love that. I think that would be super cool. I would love to do something like that. Wrestler Town says, donating so I have the right to complain if it's bad. That's right. If you want to complain, you have to donate. So you guys, there's still 6 hours, 46 minutes left to donate if you guys want to do that, just so that you're able to complain if it ends up being bad. But it won't be. Alatherna says, we need more anti-woke dog in our lives. God, I agree with you. We all need more of him. But he's busy dancing on his stereo. That's the thing, is like he doesn't force himself into anything. He's just over there having fun. All right, beautiful. I'm back to some of the chats from the beginning of the stream, so I don't want to. I'm gonna jump back over to chat over here. Seamus was trying to exercise and sanctify the zombies instead of shooting them. Not quite. Actually, not quite. All right, we're gonna bring some more exciting guests in. Here's the thing. I want to play some clips from the show. We're gonna do that in a few minutes here. We're gonna play some clips from the show. We are gonna play some clips, upcoming clips. Some of you have seen the sneak peeks, some of you haven't, but I think you guys are gonna like them. I think you're gonna enjoy seeing them again if you've already seen them before. How's that sound? I'm gonna keep going through chat here. Give me 2 seconds. I have to send this link to somebody really quickly. Oh no, my Discord made noise. Yeah, let me pull Discord up and see. Nope. All right, beautiful. We're getting somebody in. We're getting somebody in here to boom. All right, and I'm sending the link to them. Somebody else in this sphere, someone else who does art in this arena, who it's funny, I actually haven't spoken to him too many times outside of, I think we did Timcast together once, maybe twice, and cool dude, good art, interesting fella, and I'm excited to have him in to talk about this. He was very excited about our campaign and tweeted, and again, he's another cartoonist. He's done some very funny stuff, so I'm excited to bring him in. And then while we're waiting for him to join, I'm just going to check chat out. So our Jobs 99 says, hey, Seamus, any advice for absolute beginners who want to get into the animation business? Just do it, man. You just got to do it. Just do it! You really do have to just start animating. You got to just start cartooning and pushing on it. Seriously, you got to figure out also if you want to do the traditional industry route or if you want to work in new media, if you want to try to produce your own stuff. I'll be honest, I took a very risky move. Starting Freedom Tunes and being very out and open about having right-wing opinions about things. That's not what your professional development coach recommends to you when you're going to art school. They don't say, well, take your most right-wing opinions and post them online in animated form if you want to get a job in the animation industry. They usually don't advise that. So my career path is very unique. I did what I was supposed to do. What you got to do is you got to pray to God and you got to do what you think he's telling you to do. And he's not going to hide it from you if you're praying consistently and you're staying in a state of grace and frequenting the sacraments. Let me go through. Let me see some of the other chats here. Boomer, wouldn't that be Gen X? No, so literally, yes, it would be Gen X or older millennial, but people just call anyone older than them a boomer at this point. It's just, that's the state of affairs. That's the state of affairs. I love your gun control video. Why did I sing it like that? I love your gun control video with Jason and Governman. That's from Unwanted Ghost. Based? based. The person who I'm inviting in to jump into the conversation may or may not have had a very interesting concept for a show about an unwanted ghost, and I'll leave it at that. How did you know? How did you know who it was going to be? Save the Chickens, partly funded by the Spoons. Oh, our job says, hey, Shames, what would you say to a dirty Protestant like me to convince me to become Catholic or Orthodox Church? Well, here's the thing. I would not say anything to convince you to become Orthodox, all right? I would say something to convince you to become Catholic. Firstly, I would say, God bless you. I love you. I love my Protestant homies, my Protestant brothers and sisters. I think you're awesome people. I really admire the deep knowledge of Scripture that many Protestants have. I also really admire the fact that so many of them are unafraid to say that they love Jesus in a culture which is very hostile to saying that. So I love Protestants. I love you too much to not tell you to become Catholic. The Catholic Church needs good people. It really does. Now, maybe you're a Calvinist and you're going, I'm not a good person. All right, well, the Catholic Church has room for more reprobates. Come on over. If you want the fullness of the truth, it's here in the Catholic Church. I would say one good argument for Catholicism, and since you lumped Orthodoxy in there, this is a good argument to use because it applies to both. When I came back to my faith and I was trying to figure out, because I knew I believed in Jesus and I knew that Christianity was true. I was raised Catholic, but I didn't just want to default to that. And I had some questions. So I was looking into it. I was like, at a certain point, I was like, maybe, I knew to come back to my faith, but at certain points, I was like, maybe it's not Catholicism. Maybe there's some form of Protestantism that I should be looking into. But the first thing that came to my mind was, well, the Catholicism and Orthodoxy split 1,000 years ago. And there's a lot they share in common, which means that all the things that they share in common were things that the church was doing, that Christians were just doing universally 1,000 years ago. And what Protestants are doing today don't line up with those things, which means they've got a lot of like modern either inventions or rejections of traditions that Christians have been doing for at least 1,000 years. And I say at least 1,000 years because it's not like the Catholic and Orthodox one day agreed on the sacraments and the role of the Blessed Virgin and the Theotokos and praying for intercession from saints. It's not like they agreed on all those things and then split the next day. Like they clearly, if they hated each other enough to split and there was so much animosity to split, but they still retained the things they had in common, that also means that those were traditions that they had for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I believe, and I would also advise reading the Church Fathers. I think it's just obviously the case that the Catholic Church looks much more similar to the early church because the Catholic Church was the early church. I love you. Come on home to Rome. We've got our guest. He's coming on in. All right. Here we have, we actually have visuals of you. We've got G Prime. How's it going, man? Can you hear me? Oh, no, I don't think... Can you hear me, bro? I can't hear him. What's the deal? Let's see if he can get his mic figured out.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. So...
Yeah, I see you for some reason, but...
Firstly, I wanted to mention this because you and I did Timcast a while ago, and I've seen a lot of your work. I think... You have done some hilarious parodies in the past, and I in particular, like you did this parody of the New Yorker cartoon that people actually thought was a New Yorker cartoon, which I absolutely loved. I thought that was brilliant. So I'm trying to bring, people into this chat who do art, who have supported the show, and I want to thank you for the support because you tweeted the campaign out pretty early and you were like, "Hey, we got to support conservatives who are making art." So I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you shouting us out like that and also shouting us out at the end. And I think it is important for us to like make art. And so I know you're making single panel cartoons, which is different from animation, but it's very, very important. And we need to be making stuff like that. So I want to thank you. I also just wanted to ask you to sort of speak to the process that you have as a cartoonist. What got you into this? Also, why are you as a cartoonist a chud as opposed to what you're supposed to be, which is like a beautiful progressive person who brings their MacBook to Starbucks and clickety clacks about social justice issues?
I guess I don't sniff my farts enough.
But, yeah, that must be the problem.
I was born a chud. I will die a chud. Unlike you, I'm not as handsome. But, we make do with what the Lord gives us. And,
Amen.
I'm thinking about, let's say, I don't even know how to begin answering your question. Like today, for instance, I know everybody's talking about that special underwear that you can wear to protect yourself.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I want to do a strip if I have time. If I could think of a good punchline or something like that, like I want to do an infomercial of like, are you tired of being, groped on the bus? Well, try such and such.
It's insane
And-
that we're like, but well, this is a problem that we all have, which is things have gotten so insane that it's hard for us.
Mm,
There's a weird thing where that comic, like the fact that they introduced that, could just be a comic by itself if
I
it didn't
know.
happen in real life.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we're getting like scooped by the news. A lot of the news is so stupid and funny. Like there's nothing we can add. I can't think of anything stupider than what's happening. It's like, how do you make something more absurd than? And it's weird because after Trump won, I thought it would be easier to think of jokes, but I'm actually finding it harder. I don't know if you feel the same.
So the thing that I've done when Trump got elected the first time, my instinct was to say, all right, I can't make fun of Trump that much, and it's not because I don't want to. And I took a very lighthearted approach to him and poked fun at him a lot, but I knew I couldn't make fun of him the way he was being made fun of because it was too hackneyed. And I thought, well, what's really funny about this situation? And a lot of what was hilarious was the way the left reacted to him. And so for his first term, that kind of carried me through. How ridiculous and hilarious is the left's reaction to him? But I agree with you. Now that he's in his second term, even though that helped me the first time around, I don't know if I can like kind of squeeze the same juice out of that, which is really funny because South Park has sort of done the opposite thing. They said during his first term, we're just going to let Trump do his comedy. He's funny enough, and we're not even going to try. And now that it's like, and they were, this is what's so bizarre is they were correct that it was hackneyed and it was boring to just go after Trump. And now it's a decade later and they're doing the worst version of those hackneyed jokes from 10 years ago. I'm like, how did this happen?
You're saying that doesn't tickle your funny bone? That they're in a hot tub together and it's like
Yeah.
my joke is like, oh, he's going to fart and then poop. No, wait. What if he poops and then farts?
That's based.
$2.5 billion joke right there.
Well, and this is what's crazy to me, right? Is Trey Parker and Matt Stone have done a lot of stuff that I'm gonna acknowledge I found disgusting or didn't like over the years. But when you were upset about South Park, you kind of sound stupid, right? Because it's like it's South Park; they're gonna be silly. But at the same time, it's disappointing. There's something like a little unexpected about them falling into such hackneyed humor, because even though they were very crass and very gross and again did a lot of things I don't necessarily condone, there was a wit to it. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen these new episodes. Maybe they're super funny. Everyone I've seen has been like, they're kind of lame. And the jokes I've seen are literally just, oh, Trump, we'll keep it G-rated because it's usually a PG show, but a lot of the jokes are like, oh, Trump is not well endowed. And I'm like, okay, never heard that one before, man.
They used to be so funny I couldn't breathe. Like I would pass out. I don't know how this kind of humor is supposed to, like, that term clapter. You must. Like,
yeah. When people go, like when they watch John Oliver and he goes, he actually just said that. And then the audience goes, yeah, that's the funniest thing
I
I've ever
agree
heard.
with you on clapping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not actually laughing. And it's like, and Trey and Matt used to make fun of those kinds of jokes. It's like, I really think they're just tired or phoning it in. Like they're not inspired.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think also part of it is, and I don't know if they're back on their old production schedule where they have to do it once a week. I know that they had this big deal and they started doing 40-minute specials. Are they still churning an episode out each week?
Yeah, they actually, I think a couple of weeks ago or months ago, they missed one. No, it was because of
I think it was after Charlie
Kirk.
Kirk. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
I-
was only the third time that ever happened.
And I wonder, I honestly kind of wonder why. Because I listen, I get it on some level that they want to be respectful, but Charlie Kirk laughed at their depiction of him. So it seems like if they were just doing the stuff that they normally did, it wouldn't be a problem to release that actually. And as long as they put something in there like, even just a title like Rest in Peace, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't even do something like that. But I just got to imagine that whatever jokes they made in that probably would not have been things that would have bothered Charlie Kirk since he watched the show and laughed at it when they were making fun of him. By the way, it's one of the last things he ever did publicly was watch and review that South Park episode, and he did it brilliantly. He did it. I mean, he handled it perfectly.
Yeah, if I recall, they were trying to set up a thing where Craig or somebody was like mimicking him. My guess would be they were trying to goof on him pretty hard, and it's like, look, this is just not going to go well for us no matter what we do. So they said, we missed our deadline, but kind of everybody knows it would have looked real bad.
well, it's also, here's the thing, and to give them the benefit of the doubt, actually, I think it's possible they really did meet their deadline because they were trying to rework it. Like after he died, they went, oh, we got to change all this stuff. And they tried changing it and they just didn't get it done on time. So I could believe that they actually were late. And one thing that did happen before when Trump won in 2016, remember they had this whole story arc set up and then they just dropped the ball. The season before that was a story arc and it was really funny. And then they tried to do another story arc, and because they ended up being wrong about the election results, the whole thing collapsed, and it ended up being really bad.
And that show was always the funniest when they did the one-offs, like character-driven, Cartman, cooking someone's parents. There's always like a tight story that kind of doesn't have to do with we're pulling jokes from the headlines. When they're just being... I don't know, like the games. I don't know if you've ever played Stick of Truth or
I don't play. This is what I try to preface this. I'm not like anti-video game or anything. I just don't play them that often. When I do play them, I really enjoy them. I know next to nothing about them.
All right, I would say in terms of South Park content, like those are equal to a season each, the games. And The Fractured But Whole is really, really funny.
Which is a great name, by the way.
Yeah. Like it's super funny. I think that it was a passion project. And I think what these guys and a lot of creative people end up doing is you lose steam, but you're obligated to keep pumping out, on a schedule. And it's like, look, if you're not inspired, don't do anything. Yeah. But when they are passionate about a project, you can really tell there's juice.
Exactly. No, I think you're right. And that is one of the difficulties of producing stuff on an ongoing basis. Listen, we've done a video a week or more, most weeks for years and years now. And the strength and the weakness of that is sometimes you make something that you're like, this is good, I'm happy to release it, but I'm not totally inspired. And by the way, anytime there's been a video that I was like, this really sucked and I wasn't happy with it, we just didn't release it. So I'm happy to some degree with everything we've ever made, but on a certain level, or was at the time that we made it, I should say, but on a certain level, obviously some things are just going to be better than others, but it's hard to make the really good stuff. It's hard to make the stuff that really, hits unless you have made those videos that didn't hit as well. That's kind of where you keep your consistency and continue to keep your audience's attention while also building your skills and your craft. But yeah, I think it can get to the point where it just becomes too much. And maybe these guys, they've kind of been out of it for a while with the Paramount deal. And I don't know, maybe it's just not at the point where they can keep producing the kind of content they used to. But I could be totally wrong.
There's an awesome documentary. I think it's like 6 days to so you see like their production process is very high stress. I don't know about you, but I don't I can't get creative when I'm stressed out. I need to relax. I need to go for a drive or a walk. I need to just have a fun conversation with someone in a writer's room, let's say, and we're just trying to make each other laugh. Yeah. But if it's like, oh, we have to think of something funny, I can't do it.
That's I kind of get what you're saying. I'm going to be totally honest with you and this is just because it's the way I've been doing it for so long. I don't even know what it's like to work without that pressure. Because again, we've done a cartoon a week for years now, sometimes 2 a week. So I almost don't remember the feeling. I shouldn't say that. As I've been writing Twisted Plots, I have felt that because I've taken time away and I know this isn't going up next week, so I have more time to experiment. So when I wrote the pilot and when I've written subsequent episodes, I have felt that I wouldn't say a lack of stress because I take it seriously, obviously, but I think I felt what you're talking about, where there's more time to just kind of play with the concept and punch it up as opposed to going, we got to get this done right now. We just got to settle for whatever we have sort of thing, which can happen when you're on a tight deadline.
Every creative person has their own process. What kills me is I know that these guys are talented. We all do. Like I grew up watching, I've been watching since season 1. So middle school. Yeah. And they've gotten better and better, and there was a huge peak, and then they kind of slowly dropped off a little bit because they were doing other projects, Team America, Book of Mormon or something. They took breaks from the show and they came back hopefully refreshed. But it's a lesson in creativity. I mean, everybody has a different approach. Do you like the pressure?
Yeah, I kind of do, honestly. There's a love-hate relationship there. I hate it. I hate the anxiety of it, but I think it's pushed me to make things I never would have made before. And some of my favorite videos that we've ever made were videos that I only made because there was an intense pressure to get a video done.
What you were saying earlier about perfectionism is the enemy of And that really gets you out of your own way. When you have a deadline, you just have to pump something out and move on to the next thing.
That's right.
That is school wise, that's a great way to train.
Yeah.
As I get older and lazier, I think I'm like, "No, I don't want to bunt anymore. I want to hit the home runs." And
I
then
know
I
what you
feel
mean.
it's dumb though. It's like, who's gonna care? Like, oh, you only got so many likes on a comic strip. You're losing your strength versus like, oh, that was another homer.
Well,
So I got
that's
an
the
ego problem.
there's a stress that comes along with like when you release a video you're super happy with, or I guess for you a strip, and it's just a total banger and it crushes and the audience receives it exactly how you were hoping they would, and it even exceeds expectations. There can be a nervousness about what do I follow this up with?
Yeah.
That's a real thing. You just got to follow it up with something. People don't always expect the next one to be like as awesome as the one before it. They're just glad that you're still continuing to churn stuff out, and they're kind of waiting for the next banger. You should still try to make it as good as possible, obviously, but your audience knows, because it's kind of, especially because you and I are both working on a lot of stuff relevant to current events. A huge part of what makes it a video hit is the current event that's being discussed something that like lines up with a visceral human reality that's going to cause me to really respond to it? And also, did you address it in a way that taps into that response?
Yeah. And it's only relevant for what, maybe 24 hours, 48
Yes.
if you're lucky.
Yes.
And then it's like no one's gonna even know what you're talking about 2 days later. Yeah, that's we're always fighting the clock, especially if you're trying to do current events kind of jokes. But again, going back to the South Park thing, they don't have to do current events to be funny. They never had to
No.
in the past. So it's a shame to see them leaning on, like, they did a whole season based on it. I wish I could do something like that, but like, you have to build a cast. It takes time. Maybe someday. But being reliant on the news is like, I don't know. Like, how do you make someone getting stabbed in a parade or on a train funny? I can't. So it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to draw a strip about it. It's not funny, but here it is.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the thing is, one of the powerful things about comedy and doing comedy is when you decide to withhold it, there's a lot of power in that. Now, to be fair, we have done some things that I think are pretty funny about some dark subject matter. So we did a video a while ago, and you're right that I think at the moment where it happens, you don't necessarily want to comment on it in that way. But we did a cartoon a while ago where it was just on the subway system generally, and we had a cartoon where the media is investigating public transit. Like, why don't people like public transit? And so they keep sending these interns into the subway, and every single intern just keeps getting pushed in front of the train by a crazy homeless guy. And it just happens, like with each intern they send in with a hidden camera, they all get pushed in front in front of a train. So it's like, and it's dark, but you could still make it work sometimes. But you're right. The day it happens, like if someone gets stabbed on a subway or pushed in front of it, I'm not trying to be out there the next day like, was that hilarious? But even with that, there's a fine line, because what I think comedy is supposed to do, one of the important things that comedy does, I should say, is it releases tension.
yeah.
And so if someone gets stabbed and then I make a joke about it the next day, which releases the tension, which makes people feel like they're not insane. This is too much. We shouldn't keep tolerating it. That's different from Charlie Kirk getting shot and then a leftist going out there and making a joke when they're clearly trying to increase the tension. That's why the jokes about Charlie Kirk are tasteless, because what they're saying is, we want you to know that we're fine with you being hunted down. What tension does that release? That's not a good joke. It's tasteless. And ultimately, they're not actually making a joke. They're just celebrating. It's Clapter, like you said. They agree with the assassin. They're celebrating the fact that a good man was murdered in front of his family.
No. And that was only 2 months ago. I mean, it's been a rough 2 months.
Yes, it
Things
has
just
been.
keep happening. Bad things, at least for our side.
Yeah, it's been insane, dude.
But that's why it's so important what you're doing and
Thank
what
you.
everybody helped fund. It's like, we need the relief valve to be pushed.
Yeah.
Man, we could use a laugh right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're looking for a laugh, I just did a cartoon on Sydney Sweeney you might like.
Okay.
But in the meantime, listen, man, George, it was awesome having you here. God bless you. Thank you for, the work you're doing in the culture war, and very glad to have you here. Do you want to let my audience know where they can find you and what you're working on?
Sure. I'm gprime85 on X and Instagram. My latest book, if anyone's curious, is a children's book. It's called Mushy Dough.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just released. But yeah, man, I just wanted to come on and congratulate you and
Thank you.
everyone for supporting artists on the right.
Thank you.
I hope I hope this is like the start of something good and that we can keep the momentum going.
I think it is. I think this is going to be the first of many awesome new projects. I really do.
Good. We got to hang out sometime. Let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me know when you're in the area. So shoot me a DM, brother.
Very good. All right. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Peace out. And thank you for stopping by.
Bye-bye.
That
Bye-bye.
was George G Prime. I'm sure you guys have seen his work around the internet. That was awesome. Good conversation. He's someone who's producing art. He's someone who like understands the value in making good comedy. So I want to check some more of these donations out real quick, because we've had a lot of really generous people send more money in. We read this one. So Anonymous Giver, eCoop1, D-Source says, I'm a leftist and I still find you hilarious. Wow. Yeah, it's important to ensure that we're making stuff that's able to reach people on the other side. And that's how you change hearts and minds. So I'm very glad that you enjoy our work. Thank you so much for your support. And we're gonna win you over. We're gonna bring you over to the right. You are certainly not too far gone if you're enjoying Freedom Tunes. That's for sure. Like, that is not the kind of person who is like out there celebrating when someone gets killed or rioting or something like that. Evan Beer Wallets says, been watching and loving Freedom Tunes for years now. Might need a little more as you get into it. So happy to contribute a little something even after meeting your goal. Congratulations to the whole team. Come to Wisconsin sometimes for the best cheese curds, Lakefront Brewery, and cheapest alcohol in the industry. God bless you, and thank you so much for your support. We have from Resort Dog. They said bark, bark, bark. And then they threw another, they happened to throw another bark in there. So I'm assuming that this is a dog who's like a fan of Anti-Woke Dog, or possibly an opponent, and they're arguing against what he was saying or trying to lecture to him. It's kind of impossible to know because I can't translate dog very well, even though I do, in fact, have that dog in me. Anonymous Giver said, good job on Timcast. Thank you so much. Listen, I love doing Timcast when I'm able to. This has been a blast. I'll be honest with you. Listen, this crowdfunding campaign, it's been a lot of travel, but one of the things I've loved is being on Timcast, doing this again. I love hanging out around here. Everyone here's got a great nature to them. And, you know, again, like the fact that everyone has been so accommodating, everything Andrew did earlier to help get us set up. This is really incredible. So here's what I'm going to do. All right, you guys, again, you've got 6.5 hours left to contribute to see the pilot if you still want to. And if you want to post things in chat to try to get me to read, I'm going to try to sort through Super Chat, see if there's any that we missed. And in the meantime, I want you all to keep posting in here so I can engage with you. Will you be my friends? Will you be my friends? Will you talk to me while I am trying to fill this stream up with wonderful entertainment? You know what actually I should do is I should show you a bunch of crazy kids some sneak peeks. Huh? Want to see some sneak peeks? Huh? You guys want to see some little sneaky peekies? You want to see a little sneaky peeky? Huh? Do my little sneak peek freaks? Want a little sneak peek? Yeah, we're going to give you that sneak peek. Here we go.
You're tired of mass-produced slop. You want something unique. Why not an antique? Come on down to Teak Mart.
No audio, huh? No audio from that little sneak peek. But I want to do the little sneaky peeky. Hold on a second. We're going to do everyone saying, yes, please, Mr. Coughlin. Yes, please. Give us that sneak peek. I want the sneak peek. Give me the sneak peek. Well, I will. I will give you that sneak peek. We're also going to add another audio capture, and hopefully I don't destroy the computer again. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Okay. Testing. Am I messing it up? Is the audio sounding crazy? The audio was good. Did it get bad when I tried? Oh, the audio was good. Were you guys hearing the audio? You did have audio. I'm gonna play it again then. Sorry, my little sneak peek freaks. I didn't mean to upset you. We're gonna play that sneak peek again.
You're tired of mass-produced slop. You want something unique. Why not an antique? Come on down to Teak Mart, the only multinational antique emporium with 10,000 stores worldwide, selling only antiques. Ditch that boring kitchenware. Get this 25-year-old set with personality for the same price. Your old TV? Get an older one. That thing's a boring slab on the wall. Nothing is made to last anymore because Because the moment God made the universe, he abandoned it. Every moment we go into the future is a moment farther away from him, which is why everything is always getting worse, and you miss the past so much. When I invented time travel 30 years ago to expand my dying Ma and Pa antique shop into a global antique conglomerate, everyone told me I was crazy. But now I'm meeting the needs of customers by sending your orders back in time and having my past self teleport them to the future. We already know what you're going to buy before you get here. Teak Mart. Over half of America will shop here. Installment plans available. We know whether you're good for it. Get post approved today.
All right, you guys like that, huh? Did my culture war kittens like the little sneak peek there? Because I got another one. We got other sneak peeks, but we're going to stop and we're going to have a conversation about that. I'm here. I know I'm the creator of Freedom Tunes. I'm here to talk about something serious today, okay? And that is nostalgia. You can't let nostalgia destroy your brain. It's important. The episode, but I won't preach the moral right now. You're going to see the episode. The episode, maybe we're saying it's a good store. Maybe it's a bad store. A lot of people in chat are saying, I would shop at that store all the time. I'll be honest with you. I'd probably shop there a lot too. I think I'd be shopping there right with you. I think we'd be pushing our carts right next to each other, for all the goods that we were post approved for. Yeah, part of why I think this is going to be so fun is because we're going to be able to play with these crazy, outlandish science fiction concepts. And it won't just be sci-fi, but we will get to play with these really cool concepts that help us explore things about our reality and about our culture that you can't do in live action. That's part of why animation is so awesome. So is Seamus animating this live? No, I was not. No, I was not animating that. Super chats. Yes, I'm going to do 1 or 2 more sneak peeks, and then we're going to do some super chats. All right? You guys ready? You guys ready? Huh? Let me get something in chat. Huh? How many sneak peek freaks we got in here? Can we get a show of hands? Can you raise your hand if you're a sneak peek freak? Can we get that sneak peek freak energy up in here so I can show you another one? Huh? 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 Anything? You guys ready? Let me see those hands up. Tell me, are you a sneak peek freak? Listen, you're one of two I got 3 kinds of fans. There's 3 basic groups of Freedom Tunes fans. All right. You got the culture war kittens. You got the sneak peek freaks. You got the based and red pilled alpha males. All 3 of those groups. How do you manage? What? How do you categorize all these different people? How do you have all such different groups together enjoying the same content? Because that's all of them. Every one of my fans is all 3. This is just why you're getting a sneak peek.
I know this man. I've seen him at the bar. Book club. My book club, where I read books. Do you know him?
I've never seen him before in my life.
Me neither. I don't drink. I'd better alert his family. Hello,
That sneak peek just made me freak. That was crazy. I don't even know. I don't fit into categories. Sounds like something a culture war kitten would say. Sorry. Let's just be sober about this. Okay? You might not put yourself... Seamus's fans are a spectrum. You were all along that where it's all one. There's no spectrum. You are all 100%. If you're a Freedom Tunes fan, you're an alpha male, you're a culture war kitten, and you're a sneak peek freak, which is why you're getting one more sneak peek. Okay? One more sneak peek. You guys sure you want it? I don't know if you guys want it, actually. I actually don't know. Do they want the sneak peek? They're calling them sneak peek freaks. What does that mean? Who are these? Someone said, I don't get it. At the end, he just... Listen, that was also shortened. The full episode gives you more context from that clip. The guy who opened the door was the guy who he just found dead, okay? That's the little sneak peek I gave to you, sneak peek freak. I like, by the way, the light. We're just going to look at this. Look at this real quick. Just look at the lighting here. Why won't it play? Play again. It's not playing. The sneak peek won't play again. We're going to do it. I'm just going to do this real quick. Then we're going to get rid of it. Look at that lighting animation. Boom. How do you like that? That was all. I went there and I did that. I did the glow.
I know
light
this
stuff.
man.
That was fun. Sneak peek geek. No, none of you guys are geeks. You think anyone in my chat is a geek? You think you guys are not geeks? Don't talk about yourself. You guys are cool guys. I don't want to hear it. All right, now this. Here we go. This may or may not be my personal favorite, but you guys are about to see.
I'm telling you, I can use my power to end animal cruelty tomorrow. You just need to have this little guy there tap dancing behind you at tomorrow's press conference.
I don't care. We aren't doing that.
How would we even explain it? Like, they're dancing because they're happy with PETA?
You don't explain it at all. You don't reference it. He just dances behind you.
No, it's wrong.
What's wrong is allowing animals to continue to suffer because you're too worried about your reputation there. Look at this. See this giraffe?
Take him out of there. Take him out of there.
I didn't put him there. I found him like this. I know how you can save him.
Someone asked Seamus, did you VA the monkey? I'll never tell you. I'll never tell you if I VA'd the monkey, okay? You'll just have to see. Maybe one day you'll learn. Is that identify as a nerd? Sorry, bro. Your identity is the product of negotiation with society. And it's like, if you're a Freedom Tunes fan, you're an alpha male sneak peek freak culture war kitten man. Like, that's what that is. So, the sneak peek implies all Canadians are omnipotent beings. You think that's Canadian? That's a Chicago guy right there. All right, that guy right there. He's gonna solve animal cruelty tomorrow if you just have that monkey there dancing behind you. That's all you got to do. Save that giga-based giraffe. Maybe I should. Maybe this giraffe gets saved. Maybe the giraffe doesn't. You're just going to have to see when the episode comes out. Very excited about that one. Why are you guys laughing at the giraffe? You think that's funny? You think that's funny? You think it's funny that giraffe was sinking in quicksand? You think it's a joke? Do you think it's funny? Do you think it's also, what else tickles your fancy? A giraffe sinking in quicksand is funny to you? How else do you get your giggles? Someone taking the last group of African Hirolas and shoving them in a pillowcase and swinging them above their head and whoosh, whipping it at the wall? You think that's funny? Huh? You think that's funny? You think someone getting a shoe-built sandpiper and shoving it in a refrigerator full of bowling balls and rolling it down a hill? You think that kind of thing is funny? Is that what makes you laugh? You freak? You think that's funny when animals get hurt like that? You think it's funny when someone takes two raccoons and ties their tail together with a rope and then throws them over a telephone line like an old pair of shoes? You think that's funny? You sick animal? You sick animal? You're sick. Please tell me that happens in the show. No plans for that happening, but maybe. Maybe that'll happen. Would you guys think it was funny? Would you think it was funny if a bunch of chimpanzees were tied up and put in dunk tanks for people to throw softballs at to raise money for anti-animal cruelty charities? Would that make you laugh? Would you think that was funny? Really? You think that's funny? You're sick. You're a sick guy. Yeah, does that tickle your giggles? Makes you laugh? You're sick. You're a sick guy. You're sick. Why am I the sick one? Release the Seamus cut. What are you talking about? What Seamus cut? All right, we're gonna refresh our gifts and go over here, see if we have any more awesome, generous donations. Beautiful. Anonymous Giver 25, that's very generous. I hope this is not the kind of sick person who would think any of those things that I mentioned were funny. Paul Yang says, I love Freedom Tunes and I'm stoked about Twisted Plots. Proud to be a small part of this new series. I wish you all the best of luck, Seamus and team. I'll be praying for you guys and the series and looking forward to all the laughs each episode will bring. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. And to be totally frank, we have had a massive victory. We've had a massive victory. The battle's just begun. I need your prayers. We're going to make this show. It's going to be an awesome show. Keep praying for us. Keep spreading the word. Man, but take a little time to celebrate. Take a little bit of time to celebrate. You've earned it. You've really earned it, and you should take a moment to celebrate. Whatever helps you to feel relaxed, whatever helps you to unwind, as long as it's morally licit, you should do. Go, hang out, chill out, have a nice little evening, celebrate that Twisted Plots got funded. See how far you're capable of kicking the next raccoon you find messing around in your garbage can. Whatever sick stuff makes you guys laugh based on your horrible animalistic sense of humors. IDKY, I'd celebrate. I didn't do anything because we had a massive win in the culture war here with this. You should know that, culture war kitten. Sorry. Will Twisted Plots have Trump or Harris in the episodes? We don't want to be that heavy-handed. I mean, listen, if there's a reason to work them into the background or something, but that's the intention is to express our values through good stories in a timeless way, as opposed to hitting people over the head with an explicit political point. Can we make fun of 50-year mortgages? That would help me relax. You think it's funny? You think 50 years are funny? 50-year mortgages are funny? The idea of you think some poor chimpanzee being forced to be a debt slave and pay off a mortgage is funny? It's not. That's not funny. And part of the reason it didn't elicit the sick laughter from some of you freaks that those other things elicited is because the way that humans suffer, it's it doesn't even have the quality of being funny in a slapstick sense. It's just boring. Don't get a 50-year mortgage. This is not financial advice, actually. Do whatever you want. I can't tell you what you can or can't do. All right? So make your own decisions. I'm not giving you advice one way or the other. Let me read chats. We got a lot of awesome chats from a lot of awesome fans. We're gonna go through them all right now. Beautiful. Oh, we got a lot of chats. Awesome. Marks HX7BT said, well done, Seamus. Here's some extra cash for some coffee and ramen. Shout out to Timcast Crew 2. Y'all legends by now. I heard some things about spoons missing. They back? You know me. You know I would never do that. Hold on. Here's how we really... Hold on a second. Just so you guys understand how serious this is. Just so you crazy animals, you culture war kittens, you understand how serious this is. Look at this. Look at this. Does this look like a man who's playing games? Does this look like a man who's having a giggle, making a joke? You know me. You know I would never do that. Look at that. Fun with OBS. And we're going to read some of these chats. Yes, it's still Echo from $2 from Russ of the Frozen North. Bad for $2. That's Service Veritatis, Servant of Truth. Sorry. This was because earlier we were having issues with our stream. RIP. Santiago 9824 Rojo said it. Hey Seamus, what do you think about the idea for video? Bernie and Sanders and Ben Shapiro switch bodies for a day. Maybe we'll have to look into that. Maybe we'll have to talk to our top experts about whether something like that is possible to achieve with the art of animation. I can't say one way or another at this point. I can't commit. Marks HX7BT said, globalist Satanists sabotaging a sound. Obviously, yes, of course. Indestructible 9770 said, sorry, I didn't donate, but if this counts, here you go. Listen, if you're sorry that you didn't donate, firstly, the prayers, spreading the word, all that stuff massively helped. You still can donate for 6 more hours if you want to be able to see the pilot and some of the perks, etc. But what I want you to understand, my friend, is that your generosity is appreciated regardless. Thank you for sending that super chat in. Toasted 7135. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm sorry. More is still coming in. Where am I? Hold on. Sam Hubert says, hey, Seamus, is there a possibility going forward that you will use your platform to help conservative artists get their art off the ground in terms of TV shows, movies, books? Listen, what I'm going to try to do is we're building this up. I work with a lot of really awesome people. And so as we're building this up, the idea is for everyone to be able to increase their platform. And I want this studio to grow to the point where it is like making television and making movies and broadening our reach in media, basically. So if that's what you mean by that, like 1,000,000%. Sorry, I lost my place, and it's hard to keep up with old chats and new ones. Let me work our way back. Someone sent like a sweaty, scared face. So is this a fundraiser to fix audio now? That's so funny. That's so funny. You think that's funny? You think it's funny when you put audio equipment like headphones in a blindfold on a chimpanzee? You know that's fun. Put them, and then you put them in a big refrigerator box, and then put it in one of those things that astronauts go on that spins and gets them used to centrifugal force. You think that's funny? You think that's a funny thing to do to an animal? To me? Santiago 9842 Rojo says, hey, Seamus, you think Javier El Peluca Millet will or can be in a future video? Hey, if he comes up in a way that makes sense. I think he was maybe in one of the old paywall videos we did ages ago. That's possible. Sorry, let me. Wow, guys, by the way, we are at like 500. Sorry, we're at like 103% now, which is nuts. Joe Obama said Freedom Tunes is absolute cinema. Thank you, Joe Obama. Come on, man. Santiago said, read the donations, otherwise why would we give you our money? Joke, don't take seriously. Oh, come on, you're so sweet. Where's the beta viewing for early drafts? So I think one of the perks mentions like some screenings of some of the earlier boards and stuff. As production moves along, we'll sort through all of that, because we can't send it to you before we have it. PM Miller said, yeah, well, I'll send you super chats anyway. By the way, guys, I'm sorry I missed all of these. There was kind of a technological mix-up on my end where I thought I was logged into a different channel on my viewing screen, so the chats were not being retained the way that they are from my normal channel. And we got to sign out in like a couple minutes here because Tim has to use this studio to do the show, but I think I've read a lot of these, and I'm going to read as many more as I can before we sign out. Axov Fighter says, when the farmer snaps at the HOA man and Mr. HOA says, sir, I'm not your TV, really got me. That was the moment I went, I'm glad I funded this. I'm really glad. You know, the funny story, that scene was added like a little late in the game. I realized it needed something like that, and I realized that it needed a scene where we focused a little more on the farmer for flow. And so it didn't just seem like we were examining the culture and that we had like a real protagonist who was focused on. And so that scene and a couple others were added where we fleshed him out as a character more, and I'm really glad you liked that. PM Millard says, and absolutely no one is shocked except Hassan's dog. Brutal. TOG, that one guy, 5130 says, is the crossover with Saberspark happening? It depends, I guess, on if he's interested. Peter of the Oft 3823 said, hey, Seamus, we love you. I love you. God bless you. Thank you for your support. Grizzlock says, just use more vocal fry for Joe Rogan. Dick Dickerson 417 says, Seamus, did you use the chickens for the pilot because Tim threatened you? I can't confirm or deny. Grizzlock says your Joe Rogan inflection is fine. It just needs to be. Yeah, I agree with. Oh yeah, I read this one earlier on air, and you're right. Oh, that's so sweet. Anonymous Giver says, congratulations on fully funding. Here's a little extra for your next season. God bless you. I request your Biden impression. I think. By the way, they're going to need the studio in a second here. I'm going to ask them to just tell me when hey, fellas. No, they didn't hear me because they don't love me. I was going to ask them when I need to get kicked out, but I'm sure they'll come in and tell me because they have like a pre-show they need to do. I request your Biden impression. That's from Cryosite. Sorry.
Come on, man. You gotta have the dang old put your on the frickin'. You never
Put a dang old, they take the raccoon, man. You tie their tails together and you put them on the. Get it back in those days, short things have changed. You put your shoes, put them on the telephone line. Tied 2 raccoons' tails together, put them over the telephone line, man.
Das Soldat 33 says, thank you, Seamus, for you and your team. Your satires are funny. Keep up the good work and keep grinding. I hope your family, friends have a happy Advent season during the year of Jubilee. God bless you. Joel Clifton, thank you very much. Said, love you. Been a fan for years. Best satire out there, bar none. Your lead-ups and punchlines are genius. I gave 500 for the show. I read this one earlier, but I'm glad I read it again. Thank you, man. Thank you. Camden 35 says, got rid of Netflix and more to support content like yours. God bless you. Awesome content, man. Thank you. Love that you love God, man. God is going to bless you. God bless you, and God has blessed me. Jonathan Bush 5024 says, where's my spoon, Mr. Coughlin? You know me. You know I would never do that. Andrew Wowland 1989 says, I came up with a good message for this topic. Let the story drive the message instead of the message driving the story. Dude, 1,000,000%. I completely agree with that. You guys are gonna have to quote Andrew Rowland when you say that. Andrew Rowland, 1989. People are gonna think he said it in 1989. This quote has been colorized. Bazemore 1234 says, C.S. Lewis, Till We Have Faces in Dirt, Poor Robins, Queen of the Night, our peak, must read and watch. Thank you for the suggestion. 3X, oh, I read this one earlier. Thank you. I read this one too. Good. Streaming corrections. Gabriel CF1JG said, social media is used to research your brain. Interesting. 100%. Sorry, I'm just messaging them about their show. Do you need to kick me out yet? I want to see if we can get a couple more minutes because I really want to read your guys' chats. I didn't see these earlier. I feel bad. I would have read them as they came in otherwise. Kristen R. Adams 7109 said, I very happily donated my last $5 worth it. God bless you. Thank you. That means a tremendous amount. You guys have been insanely generous. Thank you. Will Rogues 6371 or Will Rogers, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, says, hey man, congrats. Been a long time fan since the old days of Social Contractor. I was wondering your 2 cents on the Ben Shapiro versus Tucker debate on MIGA. The thing is, I didn't actually see that debate. I've met both of them. And Shapiro always had a good sense of humor about the cartoons I made about him. I haven't talked to him as much though. Like I talked to him once when I met him in person. We did a Timcast stream together. I had an awesome experience on the podcast I did with Tucker when we did America Fest in 2023. And Charlie Kirk, may he rest in peace, was also on that panel. I thought it was an amazing show. And, I've only spoken to Tucker that one time, but I really like him. I really like Tucker. Oh, shoot. I think I lost some of you guys. Sorry. All right, here we are. Answered some of these. Good. Congratulations, brother. This is McPhoenix. I'm so happy for you and wish you all the success in the world. Peace be with you. God bless. Unwanted Ghost says, when is Jason and the Government Man returning? Oh, we have one of those worked up. I mentioned that earlier. Mickey Morrow said, I am a Seventh-day Adventist. I am a Seventh-day Sabbatarian. Sorry, I filled the blanks in myself there. But I shall donate to your cause regardless. God bless you and thank you. And the church could use more good people like you become Catholic. Unwanted Ghost says, can you do a decoy voice impression? I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I always hate saying no to your requests, but when I don't know who they are, I can't, I'm not able to, I hate saying no to you guys, but when I don't know who the person is, Motocross Cooper says, please make Twisted Plots racist, sexist, and culturally insensitive and perpetuate every stereotype. The world needs it. Here's the thing. I can't make it with an agenda. If there's something that, it's probably going to be around PG, maybe PG-13, but if there's some stuff in it that is offensive. We'll have offensive stuff in there and if it serves the story, but I don't want to go out of my way to like try to be edgy or anything. Phil Sturgill 9062 says, I really enjoyed your work. Have another $20. Godspeed. God bless you guys. I'm like beside myself. It's unbelievable that we were able to earn this much, that we are almost to like we're almost to 104%. We have 517,000. This is incredible. Remy says, God bless you and keep fighting the good fight. Man, God bless you guys. I'm humbled. I want to say this before I sign out because we do got to wrap here. I would stay here and chat with you guys longer, but Timcast starts soon and they have to do a little pre-show thing, but I'm going to be there for that. So if any of you are Timcast members or whatever, and you want to keep chatting, I'll be there. I think it's impossible to overstate, and yet I still don't want to understate what a massive victory this has been. We sent a very, very clear message to the dominant media culture, corporate America, and conservative Inc. that what people want is grassroots right-wing content that doesn't force a message, but tells a story in a genuine and honest way and makes the audience laugh. And that they want it done by people who didn't step into the movement later on to start grifting off of the fact that this audience had been built up, but who have been a part of this for over a decade. You also sent the message that projects like this can be successful and will be successful. I am not just honored and humbled and grateful when I consider who I received money from, which is my amazing audience, but also in considering who I didn't receive money from, who we didn't have to go to. Traditional Hollywood businesses who never would have given us the money anyway, and if they did, would have funded us so that they could have subverted the product. And I want everyone to notice that. As a grassroots funded program, there is no middleman that's going to get in the way of this or ruin this or destroy the creative vision. It's not going to get co-opted. It's not going to be some fake astroturfed conservative thing that is not only too heavy-handed and ham-fisted, but doesn't even know its own identity, which is belligerent, enforces its politics into your face when it doesn't even know what its politics are, which is what we often see. Just liberals driving the speed limit, passing themselves off as right-wing and saying that they should dominate the movement. You have made it clear that you want something authentic above all else, and that is what I'm going to deliver to you. God bless you. Thank you. I could not have done this without you. I have the best audience on YouTube. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you, Sister Cecilia, for praying for this. Thank you to my family and friends for praying for this. Thank you to my incredible wife for your support throughout all of this. This has not been an easy process. Thank you, St. Mother Teresa.